Bienvenidos a todos los que nos acompañan de nuestra comunidad hispanohablante. Si usted necesita traducción al español, le invitamos que nos acompañe, y un miembro de personal está disponible para traducir a través de línea telefónica. Para unirse a la traducción ahora mismo, por favor marque al número 1-669-900-6833, con el número de identificación 889-5905, 1042 y use la clave 094-080. Toda esta información la puede encontrar en nuestra página de internet del Distrito Escolar, visitando www.ssfusd.org y busque bajo la sección de School Board Meetings. Muchas gracias.
All right, reconvening the meeting of the South San Francisco Unified School District back into open session. Can I get a roll call, please?
Student trustee Harsana.
Here.
Trustee Richardson.
Here.
Trustee Shea.
Here.
Trustee Lamb.
Here.
Vice President Murray.
Here.
President Anthony.
Here. All right, item C, Pledge of Allegiance, will be led by Patricia and Fatima Marquez, twin fifth grade students at Ponderosa Elementary School.
Am I good? Yes. Good evening, President Anthony, trustees, Dr. Moore, and cabinet, community. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Fatima and Patricia Marquez. And of course, I have a few nice words to share about them. In school, Patricia enjoys small group work and working with friends because it makes the activities more fun. Patricia volunteers in our school library. Doing art makes her school day great as well. Fatima started peer tutoring in kinder and second grade classroom this month. Her favorite reward to earn is class extra recess. She loves video editing with her sister. A fun fact about the girls is they both play in a mariachi band.
Please salute the flag. Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well done. With your family.
Just take a picture.
It's taken me 6 years.
Give me your camera. Please, thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, so much. All right, item D, land acknowledgement statement. We acknowledge that the South San Francisco Unified School District is located on the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone peoples, who were the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula. We wish to pay our respects by acknowledging the ancestors, elders, and relatives of the Ramaytush community, and by affirming their sovereign rights as First Peoples. Item E, reporting out from closed session.
Nothing to report.
Item F, review of agenda. Okay, no changes. Item G, PTA
President Anthony?
Council. Yeah.
We do have one
All
correction.
right.
On the consent agenda, page 51, we will need to strike the third item, rescind resignation. Thank you.
Thank you. I will note that when we get to the consent agenda. All right, PTA Council remarks tonight will be by Nicole Longa, our President of the Ponderosa Elementary School PTA.
Thank you. Sorry for being late. Okay. Good evening, President Anthony, trustees, Superintendent Moore, members of the cabinet, and members of the community. My name is Nicole Longa, and I'm the president of Ponderosa PTA. This is my 6th year volunteering in the PTA and my 2nd year as the PTA president. Here are a few upcoming events that are happening around the district. Many of the elementary school PTAs are hosting different STEM science festivals over the next couple weeks. Bury had their festival last Saturday with the support of the Altaloma Service Club. And they will have their science festival assembly on April 10th. Sunshine Gardens gave staff pies for Nations on Pie Day, and we'll have a fun run on April 18th. Monteverde is having their science festival on April 8th and a movie night on April 11th. Tonight, Juniper Osera is having their PTA meeting and their Hawaiian night. Los Cerritos had a taco night this past Monday, hosted by Ayar Taqueria. And on Tuesday, April 8th, from 5 to 7, Martin is having a science festival, followed by their school science assembly on April 9th. I'd like to share a little bit about Ponderosa PTA. We're really proud of our parent volunteers. We would like to thank them all for their hard work. Please stand if you're a part of the Ponderosa PTA. We would also like to thank the excellent teachers and Principal Erskine for supporting students and families at the school. This year, our biggest events were our No Fuss fundraiser, which raised over $16,000. Our fun and exciting annual carnival, which is a community event that occurred in October. And we just completed our book fair. We were able to support and encourage literacy at Ponderosa. We were also able to give/spend over $5,000 through Scholastic Dollars on students, teachers, books, and the school library. We are also looking forward to our upcoming Science Festival on April 15th, our Red and Gold community event on April 25th. And lastly, this year, the PTA has supported the Portrait of a Graduate. Graduate aims learn, navigate, thrive, and impact. Thank you. If there are no questions, that is our report.
Thank you so much. All right, Staff Association Representatives remarks, South San Francisco Federation of Adult Educators, Ms. Bales-Stutz.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Bales-Stutz, President of the South San Francisco Federation of Adult Educators. I'm very pleased to announce that last week we launched our new IET, or Integrated Education and Training program. Students are gaining English and tech skills in one of our computer labs, which is equipped with brand new PCs paid for, via California Adult Education Program state funding. We're currently staffing for our June summer session, which will consist of day, ESL, and high school diploma classes. We're also in the beginning stages of expanding our class offerings for next year with staff and student feedback to inform the process. At the last board meeting, Ms. Giusti address the anxiety that many of the young people in our district are feeling and expressing in light of the current political situation. Our adult students feel it as well. Attendance, which of course in our program is voluntary, is low right now, which we believe is an indicative of how they're feeling. Many are also avoiding travel in light of news about immigration enforcement actions. We have shared resources, including red cards, with them. And we continue to offer opportunities for them to express their concerns and anxieties and offer them support as best we can. Our ESL program is especially indicative of this, I think. It's really reflective of the national mood among immigrants. Many of our students left their countries of origin for safety from their own governments. So it's deeply troubling for them to see the daily news coming out of Washington, D.C. and across the country. I want to reaffirm our commitment to serving all students equally and to making our school a place of safety and community where people care for and support one another. And speaking of support, I can't help thinking it might be time to remind everyone about some hard truths for teachers. Every year, the Economic Policy Institute releases a report on the teacher pay penalty. Let me share a few salient bullet points. I want to stress that these are direct quotes from the EPI's website. First, the pay penalty for teachers, which is the regression adjusted gap between the weekly wages of teachers and college graduates working in other professions, grew to a record 26.6% in 2023, a significant increase from 6.1% in 1996. Second, on average, teachers earned 73.4 cents for every dollar relative to the earnings of other similar professionals in 2023. This is much less than the 93.9 cents on the dollar they made in 1996. Although teachers typically receive better benefits package than other professionals do, this benefits advantage is not sufficiently large to offset the growing wage penalty for teachers. And fourth, the relative teacher weekly wage penalty exceeded 20% in 36 states. The largest was in Colorado at 38.4%. Where am I not going to live? And the smallest was in Wyoming at 9.0%. The teacher pay penalty exceeds 20% in 36 states. Unless you think California is immune to criticism, I say nope. The teacher pay gap in our state is 20.4%. We're number 17, go us. Given these statistics, no one should be surprised by issues with job retention, burnout, and morale. And these statistics only add weight to the call for my CTA siblings for improvement in pay and working conditions. If you want to attract and keep highly qualified teachers, our district must offer competitive salaries. If you want high morale among South City teachers, our district must provide excellent working conditions and demonstrate a commitment to the teachers we already have. Once again, we affirm our solidarity with the members of the CTA as they move through their contract negotiations. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much. South San Francisco Classroom Teachers Association, Chair Giusti.
Good evening. Good evening, South San Francisco Unified School District Cabinet, School Board Trustees, and South San Francisco community. As SSF CTA President, I would like to stand up tonight for a few important issues. One, well, I can't really speak on bargaining issues because I am sitting with the bargaining team in meetings. SSF CTA would like it known that we stand up for our labor partners in CSEA and in the South San Francisco Federation of Adult Educators. We encourage the district to work with CSEA this year on a contract that promotes earning living wages that make it sustainable to live in this expensive Bay Area. Two, our representative council has just voted to approve 2 items you should know about. We will be joining forces with the Labor Council to strengthen our campaigns of our endorsed political partners in upcoming elections. We also have voted on a resolution to support the extension of state funds to public schools from Prop 55, which will expire if no action is taken. And this will happen in 2026 when we'll get the opportunity to extend those funds. And this amounts to over $1.5 million for our school district annually. 3, Finally, I want to mention a little bit about March being Women's History Month before March ends. Last week, I attended an event at CTA headquarters in Burlingame, not called Women's History, but Herstory. It made me think how long it took me to find a voice as an advocate for teachers, as a mother, as a teacher, as a wife, etc. Next month, I hope you will hear from more of your teachers telling their stories. But I wanted to give you her story of my own. She stands up, not down. She stands up and she will fall down. You see, time has pulled her away from a young, carefree attitude because time doesn't wait. We can't wait. We can't wait for things to get better. She has to make them so. It was really unlikely for her to become a teacher. Parents didn't see it. There was no fat paycheck in it, but there are wins. Like when she sees her former students grow into talented leaders in their high schools. She has job security and a union to stand up with her, colleagues that support her, hopefully. Every day is a different experience. Smiles often brighten the day. Her story is filled with heroines who became her pillars, grandmothers who survived their husbands, became matriarchs of their families, paving the way for her to go to college even when they could not. Teaching her that resilience, a warm yet demanding attitude, and a smile will help her bounce back from trying times, but so will the determination to stand up, not down. What does determination look like in her life? It might mean being optimistic for students when the world feels like it is imploding, being a model for them to stand up, not down, to face challenges head on. It might mean standing up for someone you disagree with, even when no one else seems to be standing with you. It might mean buying a home somewhere far from school and trying to make it work. It might mean working a second job to make ends meet, like 7,000 DoorDash deliveries. It might mean taking action to improve the careers of educators so they don't have to live far from schools, so they don't have to move to higher paying districts, so they don't have to work for Domino's until 12 a.m. or do 7,000 DoorDash deliveries just to stay out of debt. Her story is not just about paving the way for her own daughter to make in 5 years what it took her 31 years to make, but standing up, not down, to ensure that the hard part of her story doesn't have to repeat itself. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. California School Employees Association, Chapter 197, Jolene Malfatti.
Good evening, President Anthony, honorable board members, Superintendent Moore, fabulous cabinet, and audience. I'm here this evening to sunshine our initial proposal. CSEA desires to enter in discussion for Article 7, compensation and benefits. Article 11, leave of absence with pay. And Article 13, employee expenses and materials. We have a lot of maintenance people that have buy expensive steel-toed boots and that kind of thing. So we'd like to update the language in that area as well. And also, I would like to thank Mr. Hanan and HR and the district for taking the steps to take care of our paraprofessionals. I have received so many emails and calls of thanks, and they wanted to convey to you all to thank you for taking the steps to attract and retain the paraprofessionals we have right now. So I am hoping out of all of these negotiations that our teachers can get a settlement that will do the same for them, so we don't lose any teachers. We can attract more teachers and retain the great teachers we have. And also for CSEA, I know it's hard, trying times. We have a president talking about dismantling Department of Ed and all these other things. So I know it's very trying, but I'm hoping that we can kind of cease the hiring for now and take care of our employees that are here right now, because they have that experience over the years, and that experience is very valuable. So I would hate to lose any classified teachers or, I'm sorry, classified staff or teachers or any administrators that may want to go someplace else. But I thank you, and I wish you all the very best, a great spring time and Easter and all of the above. And I wish, well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And we'll see you a little later when we have our public hearing about your sunshine.
Pardon?
I said, and we'll see you a little bit later when we have your public hearing, yeah?
Oh,
Are you sticking around for that?
sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Super.
Thank you, President.
All right, item I, Personnel Commission.
Our next Personnel Commission meeting will be held on Monday, April 21st, 2025 at 5:00 PM in the District Office Boardroom.
All right, thank you so much. Items from the board, item J. Amy, do you have a committee meeting?
Well, yeah, I think our bylaws committee, next bylaws subcommittee meeting is April 11th at 1:30 PM at the district office. Friday, April 11th. It's our bylaws subcommittee meeting.
All right,
So-
super,
Me and Vice President Murray will be looking at some bylaws.
excellent. I just want to say just one thing. Thank you so much, Ms. Giusti, for saying we can't wait for things to get better. One thing that's been resonating with me recently is the need to be part of the solution. I have a clever little name for it, which is probably not allowed to say in public. It rhymes and it's don't without a pitch. So you can figure out what that means. Be part of the solution, right? I really appreciate when people are feeling uncomfortable with something and you're coming to us and you're saying, hey, here's something that's wrong and here's some ways that you can fix it. These are the things you need to think about. It is so helpful for us and for staff when you do that, because that actually gives us something to act on rather than just saying, hey, this isn't right. If you just say this isn't right, I'm not happy, I don't like it. Okay, I understand. And what am I supposed to do with that? So as you go forward, we love your public comments, but just think about how you can be part of the solution and everything. You know, I think teamwork makes the dream work is another nice rhyming solution, rhyming phrase that can really help go forward. So we are all part of a team. We really do want to do what's best for kids. And that's just a comment that I wanted to make. With that, moving on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, President Anthony. I only have one item this evening. I just wanted to give a brief enrollment update. I am happy to report that our numbers at the beginning of the year, about 7,673 students, is holding steady. We now have 7,670 students. And I just want to give an appreciation to all of our staff who are working to ensure that students feel seen, feel heard, feel valued, and cared for on our campuses. We have also transitioned to our online registration platform. It's been open to families to enroll their children since January 21st. We will be welcoming our continuing students through our annual enrollment update process, which begins on April 7th. I want to thank those families who have reached out about the inter and intra-district transfers, the TK processes, and any of the other enrollment questions that have been raised to our Student Services Department. We know that there have been some impact to some of our families. A few concerns have been raised about the various parts of our processes, and I just wanted to communicate that we hear you, and we are actively working on ways to mitigate the challenges with the human, financial, and physical resources that we have. When we have updates, members of my team will absolutely be reaching out. And we are also reaching out to other local elected officials as well to see if there's opportunities for them to lean in and develop potential solutions that may support some of our challenges. I just wanted to thank you again for trusting us with your most precious gift, your children. We truly seek to serve and support all students in a caring, academically rich, joyful, and engaging environment. And thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you so much, Dr. Moore. L, student trustee reports. Josephine Harsana, spring student trustee and ASB president, South San Francisco High School.
Good evening, board, cabinet, and community. My name is Josephine Harsana, and it's my pleasure to represent South San Francisco High School. I know most of us are eagerly waiting for spring break. Our spring sports are continuing on with our badminton team winning against Mills 21-9 and San Mateo 19-11. If you look towards the back of the audience, you can see some of the members of the team are here tonight. Good job, Warriors. Earlier this evening, they just faced off against Hillsdale High School and won 25-5. Our boys golf team recently beat Mills yesterday. Last Friday, South City hosted the ELD soccer match in which all of the teams were composed of Spanish-speaking students across schools from the Bay Area. Tomorrow, the swim team will compete at 3:30 p.m. against Terra Nova. And the boys volleyball team recently won their game yesterday against Jefferson and will be playing Cappuccino tomorrow evening at Cappuccino High School. Last week, the current and future ASB executive officers concluded interviews for next school year's ASB applicants. On Friday, the official ASB class roster for the 2025 to 2026 school year was emailed to all applicants. Congratulations to all those who made it into the class, and we can't wait to see what great things they'll accomplish next year. Last Friday, the Drama Club held a talent show in the auditorium from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. The Warrior Wow Factor allowed the audience to enjoy various performances of singing and dancing from members of the Drama Club. At the end of the show, they provided the audience with a sneak peek of a number from the upcoming spring musical, Mamma Mia. Come see Mamma Mia on April 10th, 11th, and 12th at South City in the auditorium. House opens at 6:30 p.m. and the show will begin at 7 p.m. Ticket prices are $8 for students and $10 for the general public. Yesterday, South City hosted the Showcase of the Bands at 7 p.m. in the Big Gym. Community members were invited to enjoy performances from school bands across the district. Thank you to the El Camino, Alta Loma, Parkway, and Westboro bands for participating in this event. The juniors and seniors are currently selling prom tickets outside the cafeteria for $120. Tomorrow is the last day to buy tickets for $120 before the price increases by $10 next week. Avid will be holding their semi-annual taco feed on April 11th from 4:30 to 7 in the cafeteria. Tickets are being sold right now for $15 and will be available for purchase at the door for $20. Finally, our annual Day on the Green event is right around the corner, and we're excited to have our students come and enjoy some fun in the sun, or at least we're hoping that the sun will come out tomorrow. This is one of our student body's favorite events, and it is a day full of exciting activities and events for our students to enjoy. We'll be bringing a number of food trucks to our campus, including Kona Ice and a taco truck. Other activities such as an inflatable obstacle course and many more carnival games will be available for students to use free of charge. Students will have the chance to win various carnival prizes through these games. This year, we're including a teacher dunk tank, where students get the chance to dunk their favorite or least favorite teachers. Special thanks to badminton coach John, Mr. Gatton, Miss Braun, Mr. Skold, Mr. Silbach, and Mr. Kelly for being voluntold for the dunk tank. Good luck, teachers. Tomorrow can't come soon enough, so our students can have a thrilling kickoff to their spring break after working so hard this past semester. And with that, if there are no further questions, this concludes my report. I hope everyone enjoys a restful spring break. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I also want to give some props to one of your classmates, Max, who had a nice meeting with Dr. Moore this week and proposed solutions about what we can do to stand up and speak out for schools. And it reminded me that Josh Becker is organizing a Stand Up and Speak Out for Schools event on April 5th, 10:30 a.m. At County Center in Redwood City. So if you feel like you want to join that, I encourage you to join that. And with that, Jamie Wong, Fall Student Trustee and ASB President, ECHS.
Good evening, board members, cabinet, and audience at home and audience present. My name is Jamie Wong, and I'm currently a senior serving as the ASB president at El Camino High School and the Fall Student Trustee. I hope you all enjoyed the 2 days we had our summer weather back before coming back to our normal South City weather. First off, I want to start by congratulating our newly elected student leaders. I'm really thrilled to announce our newly elected ASB and class officers for the 2025 to 2026 school year. Starting off with our ASB officers, we have President Junior Isabel Ruiz, Vice President Sophomore Jasmine Chang, Secretary Junior Isaiah Lauez, Treasurer Sophomore Stanley Wang, Chairperson Junior Joey Lee, Representative at Large Junior Eliza Arroyo, Climate and Spirit Historian Junior Aiden Fernandez, Wellness and Culture Historian Junior Isabella Tolentino. And for our senior class officers, we have for President Leah Wu, Vice President Noah David, Secretary Jeremy Riego de Diaz, Treasurer Cassandra Sandoval. For junior class officers, we have President Emily Junio, Vice President Isabella Pangan, Secretary Lynette Macalto, Treasurer Sophia David, and sophomore class officers, we have President Jenna Bolantini, Vice President Lydia Junio, Secretary Natalie Tai, and Treasurer Kavika Hall. We want to thank all who participated in this year's elections. Whether they won or lost, they played a crucial role in shaping our school's leadership. To our newly elected officers, we are so excited to see the positive impact they will bring to our campus and community, and best of luck to them in their roles, as their leadership will help shape an unforgettable school year. Last Saturday's prom at the Academy of Sciences was an absolute blast. From the moment guests arrived, the night was filled with excitement, delicious food, and unforgettable memories. Attendees enjoyed a variety of delicious treats, including tacos, grilled cheese with tomato soup, and Taiwanese shaved ice, while sipping on Shirley Temples and soda all night long. One of the biggest highlights of the evening was the aquarium, which proved to be a crowd favorite. Those who wanted to take a break from the dance floor had the opportunity to explore the mesmerizing exhibits and enjoy the stunning marine life. A huge thank you to our senior officers for their hard work and dedication in organizing such a magical night. Your efforts truly made this prom one to remember. This Tuesday, we celebrated our track and field seniors as they competed in their senior night meet against Oceana. A huge congratulations to Adriana Del Rosario, Pax Sepanovich, Stevie Renz, Noah Flores, Brianna Del Rosario, Nick Nan, Hayden Hui, Alan Ramirez, David Volger, Eli Luciano, Darren Ye, Matthew Honea, Kyle Lectoan, and Nathan Lopez for their hard work, dedication, and perseverance throughout the years. Their commitment to the sport and to the team has been truly inspiring, and we are so proud of everything they have accomplished. We wish them the best of luck for the rest of their season and to finish off strong and make memories on the track. Today, we honor our amazing swim team seniors as they celebrate their senior night. Congratulations to Matthew Pun, Bianca Pantoa, Alina Jumanin, Lola Castro, Madison Wu, Aiden Chang, and Matthew Cho for their endurance and countless hours of hard work in the pool. Their passion and commitment to the team have not gone unnoticed, and we are beyond proud of all that they have achieved. As their season continues, we wish them the best of luck and to enjoy every moment they make the last time in the water. To the entire community, El Camino proudly welcomes the entire board and all assistant superintendents to join us for our Senior Passion Project Expo on Friday, April 11th from 5 to 7 p.m. This special event will showcase the hard work our seniors as they present their community-driven passion projects. The expo will be held at El Camino, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, and we hope to see you there. Tomorrow, we'll be hosting our spring pep rally during lunch in the courtyard. We'll be celebrating our incredible spring sports athletes and our amazing Link crew as they take their well-deserved moment in the spotlight, walking out on the red stage. We've got fun activities planned to keep the energy high and the excitement going, and to show our support for the team and leaders who make our school proud. That concludes my report, and unless there are any questions or concerns, I'd like to thank you all for listening. I hope you all have an amazing spring break and to take the time to relax and stay safe.
Thank you so much. Really nice. All right, moving on to item M, public comments. This is the last call, so if you still want to say something, please do. We've got 3 comments. Public comments are limited, oh, there's another one, are limited to 1 to 3 minutes per individual per board bylaw 9323. Name and address cards are placed in the back of the room to be completed and given to the secretary. The board president will call upon individuals in random order who have requested to speak. Each person may only speak once and is required to address the board from the podium. The meeting is recorded and streamed live. Individuals may address the board concerning school business not on the agenda, but public comment cannot be acted upon or discussed by the board unless placed on the agenda at a subsequent meeting in accordance with the law, the Brown Act. The board may request staff to respond orally at the meeting or in writing at a future time, and we'll have the full 3 minutes tonight. And last put in and best coming up, Troy Pasutic.
My name is Troy Pasutic. I teach at Ponderosa. I've been in this district 28 years, and I've never been more disillusioned in our district leadership, in our district board. I thank God that I love my classroom this year. I love my students. I serve my students. I've served this community. I'm disillusioned. We are watching consultants running our district. We are watching administrators hiring administrators that apparently, if you can't get the work done, you hire a director to work under you. Does that work for teachers? I'm struggling getting the work done. Do I then get a director under me? So many of these issues, our staff or your teachers are watching. And like I said, I've been in this district probably twice as long as many of you who have been sitting up here. And I have never seen, first of all, the amount of administrative positions at the district office increase as our level of students and teachers have decreased. And I'm just curious how that's possible. So that's just my piece. You'll probably never hear from me again in these 28 years that I've been teaching, and I'll probably be here till 35, 40 years. One quick thing, I'm still waiting, and so are the other outdoor ed teachers who've put in for hourly time. We got paid last year, and it's been sitting in purgatory. And we'd like some resolution with that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Hanan, will you address that? Thank you. Leah Lentz.
Good evening, board, cabinet, South City community. My name is Leah Lentz. I'm a TECTOSA. I wanted to take a moment to share more about what the TECTOSAs do, since our role isn't always visible. We are teachers on special assignment, so we may not be in the classrooms every day, but the work we do does have a huge impact on all teachers and students across the district. First of all, though, I wanted to thank the board for the opportunity for my colleague Jen and I to take a team of educators to Spring Q last week. It was an amazing experience that helped us explore new ways to maximize the technology we already have and introduced innovative strategies applicable to our classrooms. The best part was collaborating with our district cohort across different schools, grades, and subjects, allowing us to exchange our ideas and insights from the conference. It also reinforced the importance of AI literacy and the need to expand computer science access within our schools. There's a common misconception that our students are naturally tech savvy, but research shows gaps in key digital skills alongside concerns about social media and AI use. Ongoing tech issues like frequent support requests, device misuse, AI misuse, cyberbullying, and teachers struggling to integrate technology effectively highlight the need for more support. While our EdTech and IT teams address immediate technical issues, the TECTOSAs are the bridge between technology and teaching, making sure these tools actually enhance learning instead of becoming a source of frustration. That's why our Tech TLT has been working on a K-12 technology scope and sequence, aligning with our district's portrait of a graduate to ensure students can navigate the future purposefully through technology skills and digital citizenship. This work is critical in preparing students for an increasingly digital world. Research shows that when used effectively, technology enhances engagement, retention, and critical thinking, making it a valuable tool for improving student learning outcomes across all subjects. Furthermore, as AI continues to evolve and shape the future, many school districts nationwide lag in preparing students for this reality. We've initiated efforts to establish an AI team focused on creating guidelines and training programs. However, there's still substantial work that we need to do. If I were to continue in this role, I would advocate for having stronger digital skills, AI literacy, and expanding computer science opportunities, especially in elementary, while ensuring digital citizenship remains a priority. I know that there are big changes happening in the district, but I hope that technology remains a priority in those decisions. If any board or cabinet members would like to see more of what we do, I'd love to meet with you or invite you to our technology TLT meeting on April 10th, where some of our most tech-savvy educators will be sharing their insights. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Ms. Renaud?
Thank you. Okay, so thank you and good evening to everyone. My name is Liz Renaud, and I'm one of the two bilingual SLP, speech language pathologists in the district. And today I come to talk about continuing laying the foundation for the portrait of the graduate. As Laura Justice, fellow SLP who focuses on early literacy development and intervention has said, and I'm paraphrasing, the sooner we provide support, the quicker the student can progress. With this in mind, I'd like to talk about the ELD teacher position. I'd like to applaud the district for adding this valuable resource to the Spruce Elementary. It seems to be working well, and as it looks to be continued for a third year next year. My question is, why is there only one out of 4 Title I schools that has an ELD teacher that is fully funded by LCAP funds? At Martin, where I am based, as of December, we had 252 multilingual learners. In total, we have 372 students. This is, if the math is mathing, 68% of the student body. Spruce has 240 multilingual learners out of 387 students, plus 24 TK. My understanding is that we will have a TK class next year, and we already have 20 students enrolled. Most of our LCAP funds are used for opportunities for students to be exposed to experiences, such as assemblies, field trips, and outdoor ed scholarships, and additional reading support. The need for an experienced teacher with experience with multilingual learners is critical for the upward trajectory of our scholars. And so I thank you for that Spruce has one. I would like to ask, can we have some too? Because this will help all of us. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. Lucy Bradshaw.
Hi, good evening, Dr. Moore, President Anthony, Board and Cabinet. I just wanted to talk tonight about equity. If you look at the top of your agenda, it says that's giving students what they need, when they need it to fulfill their potential. And it's apparent to me, or it seems that we're not being equitable in the way we're serving our students. So we have, I think it's 7 sites have a TK class out of 9 elementary, which means that for the other kindergarten class at JS, the 6 students went to 6 different sites. So no opportunity to build community, no opportunities to have any kind of consistency as they head into kindergarten. So we have some sites that are having more spots that in TK and others are not. And I understand that we're a basic aid district. I get it. And the preferred term is community funded. But it doesn't make us exempt to the mandates that the state puts out there. And I realize it would make it a little challenging for them to apply the fiscal penalties for not abiding by the TK rules. But you're community funded. You have people who are paying their taxes and we're taking part of it, and their kids can't get into TK, or they have to drive across 2 cities to get their kids to school and drop off one kid at Bury and one kid at Skyline at the exact same time. It doesn't feel like equity, because in other districts all around us, The kids are getting prioritized. Oh, your brother goes to that school, then you get into TK at that school. It just makes sense. You know, we're putting undue stress on families, you know. And another thing that our students need is qualified educators, really good, caring, qualified educators. And the first thing that people do when they're looking for a job is they go to the website and they look at the pay scale. And this is really the time of year when that's happening. And so the sooner we make ours more appealing, the sooner we'll be able to hire more teachers in our district. I really feel that the mistakes that have been made with pay are not excusable. And when I asked a friend, will you go see your kids on spring break? She said, I can't afford it. And she's on the list of teachers whose pay is wrong. And let that sit with you next week. You know, when you get to see your kids and things are working out for you, we need to put kids in classrooms, not directors in offices.
Thank you so much. Megan Connery.
Good evening, Dr. Moore, Cabinet, President Anthony, trustees, and South San Francisco community. I am Megan Connery, El Camino High School Math Department Chair. First of all, I would like to thank you for letting me speak freely without worrying about my career. As we are well aware, not everyone in this country has that same privilege in this current political climate. This evening, I wanted to talk about my concerns about the number of available teaching positions we have right now. There are 38 as of this morning. I think only 7 teachers are retiring. So I don't know if that's different from previous years. So Mr. Hanan can answer that. But I do wonder, though, if the new hires for next year will be correctly placed on the salary schedule. If they have completed any of their post-bachelor level units before the date of their teaching credential, then the current interpretation of the HR department will short them at least $6,000 annually. The district still hasn't fixed the salary placement for the at least 31 current certificated employees. You have an action item on the agenda tonight for the ambassador program and referral program MOUs. How can anyone in good faith recruit another educator to this district if we don't know they will be properly placed on the salary schedule? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Item N, information only presentations. 1, educational services. A, teaching and learning presentation, Ponderosa Elementary School. Dr. Moore, will you introduce Principal Julie?
Yeah, it is my pleasure to introduce Principal Julie Erskine. She will share with the board and the community the school's priorities, strengths, opportunities, and all things great about Ponderosa Elementary. Principal Erskine, I turn it over to you.
I will, thank you. Good evening once again, trustees, cabinet, larger community, and Ponderosa community. It's my pleasure to be here, Julie Erskine, and I'm excited to present teaching and learning at Ponderosa Elementary School. And my apologies for my voice. As we move from my presentation, I hope you'll see how our core values, strategic priorities, and our graduate aims are amplified at Ponderosa. Here's a snapshot of who we are. I do want to highlight one thing that I think is both a bright spot and also a challenge. Students with disabilities at Ponderosa is currently at 25%. We're very proud of the work we do. It is a bright spot for us for sure. So I want to speak a little bit about the space we've created. I always say Ponderosa is a space to learn, and these are what we call our common agreements. So this has been built together as a staff. So we have committed to soul shop in packs so that we have common language. That same common language can be seen in our academics. So this year we've spent time on math talks, math norms, and we've had 2 grade levels trained in Orton Gillingham so we can have common language around reading. We additionally support small groups in all classrooms, as well as looking at data from both DIBELS and IXL. And our statement, our mission statement, the Ponderosa community encourage and cultivate social and educational growth for all learners. And I think this fits nicely with the work we're doing district-wide. This has been 9 years in the works, but it happens to overlap very nicely. So what you just saw are all problems that staff has identified, established a process for, and used assessment to better identify how we can work together to solve problems. And you can see this interconnection between equity-centered systems that develop engaged students, educators empowered to make the best decisions for our students, and exceptional instruction. And purposeful partnership is part of that system. So this is our collaborative learning cycles that take place during our instructional leadership meetings and after school and on Wednesdays as well. Attendance, we've had some success this year. We definitely would like to see attendance continue to be a priority and also an area of success. So it's good to see the green growing and also the yellow growing as well. This is our DIBELS data. Definitely shows some work that needs to be done. But I think also a bright spot is looking that our kindergarten through 5th grade, we do see growth and also a minimal movement within our red. IXL data, and both our IXL and DIBELS data does mirror our state assessment data. Another look at some of our achievements and challenges. And by groups. And thinking back to our collaborative learning cycles, we have had specifically some of the student groups named here in mind. We have had some ups and downs within our students group, but I think when we look at growth, our students are making typical growth. Our challenge is we need our students to make more than typical growth. An image from our school dashboard. And of course, the work that we do every day. So looking at Learn, we are engaged in science. Our students are engaged in math talks. We have our students moving to Orton Gillingham and using UFly, and of course, our small group instruction to keep our students working on things that they need the most support with. Under impact, I want to highlight, here's our 3rd graders playing the dreidel game with our 1st graders. Our 5th grade classrooms employ math coaches so they can help other students. Our kindergartners working in small groups, and part of collaboration is partnering with other schools. And so South City Theater Group comes and performs for us often. So it's nice for our students to see opportunities. Navigate. Many of these things have been many years in the works, and it's fun to see them keep going and in fact growing. So our 1st graders continue with community helpers. Our South City kids continue to volunteer in our classrooms and show opportunities for what the future looks like. Our 5th graders are at work on group projects and using technology to verify information. And then this is a fun quote from a 5th grade tutor. So our 5th grade tutors fill out a job application participate in an interview and are now working in our classrooms. So it's good fun to see why they would like to be a tutor. Thrive. We spend a lot of time on Thrive. It's very important. We have used PAX and Soul Shop now for almost 10 years, and you will see this language throughout our school. So here's a Soul Shop session. Each of our grade levels get 4 community sessions a year, plus all staff is trained on the work. We also had a fun moment with kindness. So realizing I'm the I in kind, really encouraging that with students. Then I have to give a special shout out to Miss Aquila here, who makes sure that we have an inclusive recess each and every day. She keeps the center going. So I'm very proud of that. And our partnerships, we are so grateful for our partnerships. Our parents are involved, engaged, and support our community. So here's Miss Barba teaching our students about Dia de los Muertos, our 4th graders enjoying a walk through California, our family math night, which is also a huge success. Parents come and play math games with their students, and our Ponderosa Carnival put on by our PTA, one of the many, many events that they host. And of course, none of this is possible without a few important people. So I'm going to thank these people, thank another group of people, and then can we do the picture afterwards in questions as well? So very special thank you to people that are present this evening. Natalie Long, Margarita Chenoweth, Jackie Chin, Cindy Coe, Heather Hefner, and Nicole Longa. They put a lot of hours in, both supporting our school with fun events and with fundraising. So thank you. Our teaching team, we got to do a better job of taking group pictures. Halloween is it, but we are about 50 staff members. Here's a glimpse of many of the people who make all of this happen at Ponderosa. Round of applause for you, please. I love where I work. Any questions?
Do you want to do the photo first?
We may do the photo first, yes. Can I ask the volunteers to come up, please? Thank you, ma'am. I can be a picture.
All right. Questions? Do you want to start, Trustee Richardson?
I just have praise for your school. It's got so much spirit. Your parents are always there, and we're always hearing about how your parents raise so much money that, you know, and the district has to fund part of it. So I'm really happy to hear. And you also have special needs students. Yeah. And when I visited your school, you had one student in a gurney. And I don't know, I haven't visited your school in a while, but that really stands out the last time I visited your school. And, you know, it's so welcoming to everyone. And I am proud that, you know, it shows in your staff and the collaboration with your PTA. It's just one happy place to send your child to school. And I want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Trustee Richardson. I agree. Trustee Lamb?
Not too much, just Principal Erskine, it's a pleasure to meet you and the staff and parents in the Ponderosa community. I, look forward to visiting at some point in the near future. My daughter does attend, during the summer for summer camp, so I'm familiar with Ponderosa in that way, but look forward to kind of coming to visit during the regular school year. So yeah, thank you, and keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee Shane?
Thank you so much for the great presentation. I do have a question on page 12, and I forgot to ask earlier. So if you don't have the answer, no worry, okay? For the math one, page 12, math for all students, I think we want to highlight this great work. We are increasing from 45% meet and exceeding the grade level standard up to 49 and up to 50%. So I think that one is we really want to highlight them, that math part. And the question I have is for English part, for all students, that we decreased from 57 to 53 to 50. And for the social economic disadvantaged students, we decreased from 50% to 49 to 35%. So I don't know if you have any interpretation or thoughts on that.
I have many thoughts. It's definitely doesn't go unnoticed. It's where we have put our efforts because we realize it is an area of concern. Many of those students fit multiple groups. And so when you have a challenge, when you make progress, you lift up many. And when there's challenges, it becomes obvious as well, some of our spaces where we need to learn and grow. We do have 2 reading specialists that support our school in many, many ways. They both do pull out, but they also push into classrooms and do co-teaching and additional support. And they're very good at meeting with parents. But I agree with you, that is an area of need. Very much.
Thank you for your question. Trustee Murray?
Thank you very much for your report. The thing that I notice about it is your investment in the social emotional learning part of your curriculum is amazing. It started from the first time I visited your school and it's just built. And you can tell, like looking at the kids collaborating and well, you've always had a strong parent community, but and the teachers collaborating with the kids. I think it's amazing, and I thank you for that investment because I think that's important. And I will see you on April 6th. That's when we have our visit with you.
I'm glad. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this presentation. I too love visiting your school and love the emphasis that you put on Soul Shop and PACS. I think it sounds like it's working really well for you. Just echoing what I said earlier, obviously also did not ask this question ahead of time and don't expect an answer. But, I think it's all about solutions and it's thinking about, well, what would I do more of if I had more of what? What would be your one thing that you would want the most to fix? You're not going to fix everything, right? So like one thing, it's more a rhetorical question, but if you have an answer, feel free.
There's many things. I definitely feel that interventionists have been very good partners. I do think that has been money well spent. I think any opportunity a student has to be in a small group is effective. So good first teach, lots of professional development, followed by small group instruction.
Super. Thank you.
Yeah.
Helping us understand. All right.
Thank you.
I really appreciate your presentation and have a great night and
Thank you.
great spring break.
Thank you.
You do have some teachers here. Do you guys want to stand up? We give you a round of applause. Thank you, Trustee Murray. Moving on to information only presentations, 2 business services, A, nutrition services. Mr. O, will you introduce Mr. Chan?
Yes, thank you, President Anthony. Yeah, tonight we have Mr. Robert Chan, our Director of Nutrition Services. He'll be presenting some information about the Nutrition Services Department. Mr. Chan.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Superintendent, and Cabinet members. So tonight I'm going to present on the Nutrition Department and all the updates. So these are the core values, strategic priorities, and the portrait of a graduate. There may not seem like a direct correlation between this and the Nutrition Department, but in my presentation tonight, I'm going to highlight some of the plans and goals that directly align with some of the district priorities. So this is the portrait of a graduate where everybody's familiar with. And these are the 5 priorities for the districts. So in my presentation agenda tonight, I am going to cover department overview, goals and updates, accomplishments, challenges, and plans. I have to point out the month of March is National Nutrition Month. The theme for the month is Food Connects Us. So therefore, you see the background says National Nutrition Month. So in my department, it comprises of 43 staff. We have 2 administrative staff at the district office. We have 4 warehouse drivers, and we have 2 supervisors. And the rest of the staffs are distributed in the elementary school level, middle school level, and high school levels. So these are the faces of the nutrition department. I believe I may not have captured everyone in this picture, but I think that's most of us. So our goals and updates. I'm going to start with our goals. We are going to increase meal participation by a minimum of 4% this year. So where does 4% comes from? It comes from the previous 2 years we have consistently increased participation by 4%, and therefore we're going to aim for a minimum of 4% every year from now on. Secondly, we focus on maximized use of our resources, including staff, our equipment, and space. Talking about space, the central kitchen renovation is coming, and we are planning to maximize the use of space so that we can be a lot more efficient and streamline the process of our operation. Third, we are going to maintain our food safety. We haven't had an incident of food poisoning. I think that's very important to do in our setting here, and we continue to do so. And then we're going to minimize food waste and use of plastic. Speaking of food waste, we have a couple of ways to minimize it. I have to say we have a pretty accurate meal projections. That comes from previous month's data, and it comes from the judgment of the popularity of the food item. So every day at the elementary level, our staff would get the attendance number from the office. And according to that number, our staff would heat up certain amount of meals so that we try to minimize food waste. If there is surplus, the food will remain in the freezer, and that will become the second option for the next day. So therefore, we don't waste any food. And about use of plastic, I have to say currently, the packaging machine we use quite a lot of plastic because it's overwrapping packaging. So moving forward, I'll get to that later in my slide. I'll talk about the plan, how we are going to address that problem. And last, we are going to increase scratch cooking to 25% by the year 26 to 27. I have to point out, California lawmakers have proposed new laws to eliminate ultra-high processed food starting in the year 2028 and to finish by 2032. So I figure if we start now, we have a very good chance of eliminating a lot of high processed food for our students. Department updates continue. Our universal meal program continues this year. And also we continue to serve our summer meals program to our students. We do participate in seamless summer option. So please note that a couple of our sites will be open to the public because we participate in the seamless summer program. I also wanted to point out, it almost seems like we have to provide meals to our students. And in reality, it may not cater to every single student because of the allergies or religious preferences. So I have to say, although it's not required, we have to provide to students with religious preferences, but we do, in our district here, we do provide to students with religious preferences. And I have to say, we have provided to a student with halal preferences. So this is our first time doing that. Another update, CDE has changed their CEP eligibility requirement. Previously, it has to be 40% of ISP. ISP stands for Identified Student Percentage, but last year they have lowered that to 25%. So therefore, with the newest addition of South San Francisco High School, that has added to our CEP list starting this year. On the last of my update, we have visited Gordon Lau Elementary in San Francisco. In the later slides, I'm going to show more pictures. This is another update. We started automation with some of our student surveys. The student surveys is something that we started recently to collect preferences from students. We started at the high school level. At this point, we haven't extended to the middle school yet, but on the menu of the day, we included the QR code. So students can use their phone to scan the QR code, and that will link them to the survey. The survey has about 5 questions, basically asking about how do you feel about our school lunches? What item would you like to see more? How many times you eat school lunches per week, so that we can start gathering feedback, and this will shape our future menus. And at some point, we're going to change the questions and we're going to test out different things to see whether, we're going to start implementing scratch cooking. So I think this is the best way to get information directly from students. And we have also automated the field trip order form. So in case if when there are students going on field trips, we will have to provide lunch bags, and this is the form that we use. So no more paper floating around or we lose requests. So this is the best way to do it. Monthly menus are now available on the district website. Previously, we already have our menu posted on links. However, that is not so user-friendly and you have to do many clicks before you can get to the menu. So we decided we post a more user-friendly versions of our menu. This is what you can see. If you go to our website, just click on nutrition and you will see the menu it goes by breakfast and lunch and by different schools. So this is the links menu I was talking about. It has a lot of information, but sometimes you may not need to know the details, but then it's there especially for district nurses, if they're providing insulin to some of the students. This is the place where they go and look for how many carbohydrates in one meal. So it provides a lot of information here. So this is the site visit we did earlier of the school year. So we were at Gordon Lau Elementary in San Francisco. Mainly, we were there to not only to observe how they conduct their lunch, but I also wanted to see how their milk dispenser functions. As you can see, the picture on the left, this is the dispenser machine. I was interested in it because it has a lot of pros, but at the same time, we have some cons as well. For the pros, it doesn't produce as much waste, and it really helps with student engagement. For the cons, it does require a lot of supervision from the nutrition staff, and it does require a lot of staffing and collaboration, meaning the custodian may have to clean up the mess, the drips of the milk. This may be something that we will consider in the future for our district. And we also did another product testing at Ponderosa. The picture on the left is showing the cereal dispenser machine. And then we did some observation in that morning to observe how the students interact with it. Turns out a lot of younger students are more fascinated, and it helps with student engagement as well. Perhaps it may even boost up the meal participation at breakfast. Another update, we as a team, me and the 2 supervisors, we attended an advisory meeting at Alta Loma. We are meeting with students. So students made a presentation on improving school lunches. They asked very good question, and we were very impressed with the questions they asked. It's very in line with the problems that we are facing, such as how do we reduce plastic waste. They recommended a few options on menu ideas. This is something that we would like to continue doing in the future. Another update, these are the trainings that me and my staff have attended this year, and I'm not going to go into details. And this is the CSNA annual conference that I attended at Sacramento. They have some good training sessions there. They cover scratch cooking, how to work with the administrative review, procurement training, and food allergies. And another training that I attended with my supervisor this is called Super Co-op. We are part of the Super Co-op group purchasing, and they provide training yearly on how we can better utilize the USDA entitlement every year. This is a one-day training on Lodi, by the way. This is the another training that all of the nutrition staff attended. We hired, or as you can see, the book on the left, Jeff Joyner. He's the writer of the book, Say It Like It Matters. So that day we invited him on Professional Development Day. He talks about team building and food safety. Accomplishments. This year, we had a procurement review. It happens once every 8 years, and there's no findings, and we are very happy with it. And we have an overall 4% increase in our meal participation. Data was updated in March this month, and previous year we had the same percentage of increase, so I'm hoping to continue in this trend. So what's working well? We have been doing second chance breakfast in 2 different schools, Los Cerritos and Spruce Elementary, and that has been working well, and we're going to continue. And currently we are going with a 2-week menu cycle, and that's been working well. It helps with the turnover of our inventory, so inventory don't sit for too long in our storage, so it prevents spoilage. We have adopted the emergency supply system. We have this supply because we were anticipating winter storm, power outages. When milk don't come, what do we do? And it has been helpful. So we're going to keep on doing that. And then we are currently partnering with Peninsula Food Runners Program. They come pick up our surplus of food 2 times a week on Wednesday and Friday, and they will deliver that to the nearby churches and senior centers. We have been implementing the allergy labels, especially fish. sometimes they look a lot like chicken. So if someone has fish allergy, that's not good. So therefore, we have implemented the allergies label system, and it's been working well. Lastly, on this slide, we have established a very good communication system with the district nurses. They are very good with communicating to us about which students has allergies or who is coming in and who is just joined the district. So we have received continuous emails, and so we have been in tight communication with them, and that's working very well. This is the food allergy table that I've developed for all of the nutrition staff. At the site level, sometimes they may not remember the diets. And therefore, you see there's 1 to 8. It's showing 8, but I actually have more different diets in this reference guide. So this is like a quick thing they can go to in case if they don't know what diet can be served to certain students. This was the newly installed service line back in October 2023. It's been a major contribution to an increase in lunch participation at the South City High School. So challenges. Last year, we have tried put out 2 digital signage. It's been getting a lot of attentions. However, we have a lot of student interference with the signage, and they keep touching it at one of the high schools. For South City High School, nobody could touch it because they were behind the counter. So that's been working well. So perhaps after the kitchen renovation, we can place those signage at the better location so that there'll be less interference. Another challenge we had this year was the walkout day on February 3rd. We experienced an 18% drop in lunch and 20% drop in breakfast from previous day. The third challenge we have is the upcoming central kitchen renovation. We will have to redistribute staffing. We have about 19 staff. We have to relocate them at different locations, give them different routines. We're going to experience a limited storage space because we will lose access to the central kitchen. And to welcome the upcoming vended meal services, we have to convert one of our freezer into a refrigerator so that we can store 2 days of food in our warehouse, which is parallel to what we're currently doing. Another challenge is compostable products. As you can see in the picture, well, we have started using compostable trays. However, with the overwrapping system, once the food, especially high moisture food, get heated up, it will become soggy because of the water condensation from the inside. It got to the bottom of the tray, and then the tray will start decomposing prematurely. So that's one of the problems we have. For our plan, these are the 2 tilt skillet machines we have discovered that sitting in our storage for a little while. So this is the perfect opportunity to bring them out and install during the renovation at both high schools. It will help increase our scratch cooking capacity. Moving forward, an RFP was conducted to obtain a vendor to help with our transition to during this kitchen modernization. Moon Chef was selected as the most qualified to meet our needs in this district based on 15 criteria. Price is not the only criteria, and we are also looking for flexibility in many of our areas. So therefore, Moon Chef had won the bid. And the contract term is minimum of 13 months, starting on June 1st. Okay, more about vended meals. This is the future plans. Hot meals will be delivered to 5 of the school sites, and the rest we will pick up from the vendor as frozen, and we will store them in our warehouse. Actually, walk-in refrigerator and walk-in freezer. Another plan is to switch to a different packaging machine, which will use less plastic. The Oliver packaging machine is a winner here. It is a top sealing machine. It's not overwrapped. So by my estimate, it only uses 1/3 of the plastic compared to what we're doing now. And then we're in the process of purchasing the cereal dispenser and place them in all of the schools. And last, our plan is to put more nutrition messages on our packaging in the future. I believe the short messages will go a long way, especially when students are standing in line and, instead of chatting with their friends, they can look at the packages. And we do have plans to put nutrition messages or educational messages on digital signage. So when they're waiting, during that 30 seconds of time, 1 minute of time, they can look at it. It may not be much, but I believe short messages can go a long way. And lastly, we are looking to have more of partnership with student media group. Earlier, I mentioned about the QR code that linked to the surveys. We have been contacting schools to connect with the student media group so that they can start advertising that message, and that way we can get more surveys collected. I think that concludes my presentation. I'm ready to take questions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chan. Trustee Richardson?
Thank you. But Mr. Chan, I'm just so engrossed in the kitchen. I thought it was something very simple, but you've explained that it's getting to be a big deal. Now, I know students have been recruited to work there. What is your estimate of how many students are going to be participating?
Moving forward, during this renovation, we won't have students in our near the renovation site at all because first of all, we don't have a kitchen for them to work in, not in the central kitchen. So, but we will continue to have students at the South City High School during lunchtime or before school. They will work in the morning before breakfast. And so we are looking at keeping a handful of students.
Oh, okay. I want to tell you, we appreciate your catering the Golden Apple last year. And I think we all enjoyed your whole presentation.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You're going to be there this year
Correct.
as well. So thank you about
We will
that.
do the same.
Oh, okay.
Better.
Great. Yeah, I really enjoyed your technology questions, and I just wondered, do you get any feedback? I know you said you did monthly, but have you had to change your menu because significantly to accommodate some of the religious requests that you've had?
Not completely. Well, we have made changes, or more so in addition to the menu. We have background or we have meals that's always ready that may not be showing on the menu. For example, like vegetarian options may not be showing on the menu, but we always have them in the background. So that's the kind of changes that I've made.
Okay, I appreciate the the presentation. Thank you so much.
All right, Mr. Chan, we're going to take a break because it's just about time for our captioner, and I think we have a few people who still have more questions. So it's 8:28. We'll come back at 8:38. Thank you. All right, 30-second warning. 30-second warning. Fifteen-second warning. 15-second warning. All right, welcome back. I think we have a few more questions for Mr. Chan. Dr. Shea?
Thank you. Thank you so much for this amazing presentation. As Mina mentioned, nutrition services, right, in our minds is serving student food, but this is more than that. That's a lot, like you mentioned about the student engagement. I really appreciate how comprehensive that you share with us. And I also want to comment on how you reach your goal. That is such a great role model for us. Like when you are talking about the department goal, minimize food waste, and also how to increase meal participation. And then you immediately go into different actions, meaning the intervention. So how you engage, and more like comments, not questions. So like how you engage students to be part of this solution. You have the QR code, and for them to engage their feedback on that. So when I remember Ryan, my son, was in high school, he would say, that food is not good. They wish they have more the chicken nuggets, the warm food. And so you already have that survey there for students, so you can gather their feedback. And by doing that, you improve the food, and then you are increasing the participation of students on the meals, and also avoiding wasting food, because if the food is they like, they tend to not to just chew on one and then throw the rest away. And so I'm really amazed how you are connect all that. It's like our instructional practices. Like you set the goal, you have your intervention, and you go back to check the results, and then you present it beautifully, and how you also engage our technology in the process. So not only that one, you also have other places that incorporate in technology to students' input and everything. And also, I also very like the way you do the taste testing, like the piloting with students' feedback, and then see how they react to that. I thought those are the engagement with students. They are part of this solution, as Amanda mentioned earlier, provide the solution. So really kudos to all your great work. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Trustee Shea. Trustee Lamb?
Yeah, I'll just piggyback off what Trustee Richardson and Trustee Shea said. I mean, like, yeah, all the layers of initiatives that you put together for the nutrition services is very impressive. I mean, I'll just maybe to repeat the fact that you are taking into account like different dietary needs, or just religious observations, and that's actually very impressive, because food it's what it's very we need our food, but to kind of allow our students to have that connection is important. And so to have that, even just that little bit of like inclusion through food, I mean, that actually is kind of a big deal that, maybe we ought to, celebrate more. And just knowing also about the excess food going to food runners was very impressive to me as well, that we also in a way feed the community through your department's efforts. And then I also just wanted to congratulate you very belatedly for the city resolution that you received from the city of South San Francisco for nutrition. Was it the nutrition? National Nutrition Month. Thank you. Yeah. So I had remembered, I wanted to congratulate you earlier, but I forgot. So I'm glad to.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, so just keep on going, I think. And yeah, really excited about the central kitchen project and all the, ongoing improvements that are going to be made, increasing scratch cooking. I mean, it all sounds exciting. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Trustee Murray.
I want to thank you for your thoughtful report. I mean, every single thing you've thought about everything. I love the way that you aligned it with our priorities, and that was important. And let's see, I have one question. We used to have the share tables, and I know that we have a surplus program where they pick up the foods on Wednesdays and Fridays. One of the good things about the share tables in the elementary schools is that you give the same amount of food to the kindergartners that you give to the fifth graders. And sometimes, a lot of times, the kindergartners don't need that much food, but the fifth graders need extra food. Do we handle that in any way?
We still have share tables in some of the school, not all of them, but some of them. I should have included one of the challenges because at one of the school at the El Camino High School, last year we had a student group help managing the share table. But towards the end of school year last year, it got dropped off because the students, I believe they were too busy with other projects, so we couldn't continue on. So that's one of the challenges.
Okay. Thank you very much. This is great.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chan. I really am interested in the compostable products challenge. I think that's really interesting, and I really like the solution you've come up with. Glad to see that we're going to be starting to use more scratch cooking, and appreciate your commitment to this program and to the nutrition of our students.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Item O, presentation with potential action. We do not have any, so we'll move on to item P, consent agenda. The following items are submitted for board approval. One motion will authorize action for those items so designated. Can I get a motion to approve? First of all, anybody have any questions? Okay, can I get a motion to approve with the change to item 3A, rescinding the resignation?
So does that mean that that comes off completely, or is it just a resignation?
The board, I'm sorry, Mr. Hanan, the board is
Because
already.
on the consent agenda, it says rescind resignation.
The board.
Go ahead.
The board has already approved the resignation. The board has a board policy that once somebody submits a resignation that takes board approval, they can no longer rescind it. So that's why we're pulling that. But this individual will be able to, if he so
Reapply.
chooses, is correct.
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're just rescinding the rescind of
Removing
it.
rescind
Yeah, we're taking
resignation.
off the line
So-
rescind resignation. So
So moved, removing rescind resignation on, was it item 3?
super.
Page
Can I
51,
get a
I think.
second?
I second.
All right. First by Murray, second by Shea. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries 5-0. All right, we are moving on to our public hearing in accordance with California Government Code
Wait, don't we have
section.
to approve the rest of the consent agenda as well?
Oh, no, I just did a consent agenda with just removing that rescind resignation on the item 3A. I didn't approve 3A
So
separately.
should we not, are we,
I did
should
the
we
whole
not,
thing.
yeah, approve the whole thing? Or
I
make a
did approve
motion?
the whole thing. I didn't only do 3A. I said a motion to approve the consent agenda with a change to 3A for rescinding, to remove rescind resignation.
Okay, well then, never mind then.
I probably could have done that either way. All right. In accordance with California Government Code Section 3547, prior to commencing labor negotiations, all initial proposals of exclusive representatives and of public school employers, which relate to matters within the scope of presentation, shall be presented at a public meeting of the public school employer and thereafter shall be public records. The South San Francisco Unified School District, and the Classified School Employees Association, Chapter 197, CSEA, will be negotiating a successor collective bargaining agreement successor agreement for the 2025-2028 term. The CSA has submitted its initial proposal. Following the presentation, a public hearing will be conducted to provide an opportunity for members of the public to comment on CSA's initial proposal. Ms. Malfatti, I think you kind of introduced this earlier, but can you come up and just summarize what you're opening prior to their comments?
Okay, you just want me to go article by article, or did you have a question?
However you summarized it in public, in your comments was fine. I think it just has to be introduced in this item so that the public hearing is conducted right after that. Just share what you said earlier in the
I'm
same
sorry.
comment.
Okay, well, we intend to bargain Article 7, compensation and benefits, fair and equitable salary increase for the bargaining unit, and improving contribution rates for healthcare, improving longevity increments, establishing hazard pay, additional compensation. We've already done for paraeducators who train other staff members. I guess they just hired 15 contracted paras that are not familiar with our district. Article 11, leave of absence and pay. CSEA has interest in increasing the number of sick days eligible for use as personal necessity. Article 13, employee expenses and materials. And CSEA has interest in increasing the uniform allowance and increasing maximum reimbursement for damaged personal property. So California School Employees Association in Chapter 197 reserves the right to make additional proposals at any time during the bargaining process, including but not limited to responses to proposals made by the district.
All right, thank you. At the next public meeting on April 10th, the district will submit its initial proposal to the Board of Trustees and the CSEA. And right now, a public hearing will be an opportunity for members of the public to comment on the CSEA proposal. So if you have a public comment, get your comment in because I am opening the public hearing. No comments? All right, closing the public hearing. And we'll see our initial proposal on April 10th. Okay, moving on to action. Item 1, administration. A, Resolution 2508, National Child Abuse Prevention Month. Staff recommends the adoption of Resolution 2508 in support. Oh, it might be 2507. I feel like you changed the number on me in the new agenda. Oh, there we go. The 2507 is in human resources. Okay, on national, in support of National Child Abuse Prevention Month. Trustee Richardson, will you read it into the record?
Yes, I will read it into the record. Memorandum. Resolution 2508 in support of National Child Abuse Prevention Month. Whereas April has been recognized as National Child Abuse Prevention Month in the United States since 1983, serving as an annual observance dedicated to raising awareness and preventing child abuse. And whereas child abuse and neglect are critical societal concerns that can have long-term effects on the health and well-being of children and adults.
Trustee Richardson, can you move that microphone a little bit closer to your mouth?
Thank you, certainly. And whereas safe, stable, and nurturing relationships and communities play a vital role in breaking the cycle of abuse and maltreatment. And whereas preventing child abuse and promoting the social and emotional well-being of children and families require coordinated and comprehensive response from all the systems supporting children, youth, and families, including schools, law enforcement, healthcare providers, faith-based organizations, and community programs. And whereas every individual has responsibility to ensure that children have access to the resources and report they need to grow up safe, healthy, and successful, free from aggression and cruelty. And whereas all South San Francisco Unified School District employees are required to review mandated reporting requirements annually and to immediately report any suspected child abuse or neglect to the appropriate authorities. And whereas bullying, a form of peer abuse,
can negatively impact a young person's physical, social, emotional, and mental development. And whereas children and youth who experience family disconnection are in an increased risk of online sexual exploitation and trafficking, and whereas it is everyone's responsibility to prevent all forms of abuse, whether at school, in the community, or through technology, and to consistently advocate for the safety and well-being of all children. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the South San Francisco Unified School District Board of Trustees hereby recognizes and supports National Child Abuse Prevention Month, regularly passed and adopted this 27th day of March, 2025.
Thank you so much, Trustee Richardson. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Super. First by Trustee Richardson, second by Trustee Murray. Can I get a roll call, please?
Trustee Richardson,
Yes.
Trustee Shay,
Yes.
Trustee Lamb,
Yes.
Vice President Murray,
Yes.
President Anthony.
Yes. Motion carries 5-0. All right, Administration 1B, Resolution 2509, Autism Awareness Month. Trustee Richardson, do you want to read this one into the record too?
Would someone like to read it?
Okay, Trustee Murray?
Thank you, Trustee Murray.
I know.
Sure.
Resolution 25-09, Autism Awareness Month. Whereas the Society for Autism was founded in 1965 to advance research, promote awareness, and provide support and guidance for individuals living with autism. And whereas the society played a key role in shaping legislation, including the Disabilities Act, to recognize and protect the rights of individuals with autism. And whereas World Autism Awareness Day, observed annually on April 2nd, was established to raise public awareness and improve the quality of life for individuals diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, ASD, empowering them to lead full and meaningful lives as integral members of society. And whereas autism presents in diverse ways, and every individual with the ASD faces unique challenges depending on where they are on the spectrum. And whereas until the latter half of the 20th century, only individuals with the most severe symptoms were diagnosed, and many were institutionalized due to a lack of understanding and resources. And whereas autism was historically misunderstood, often misattributed to poor parenting or vaccinations, rather than recognized as a complex neurological condition. And whereas increased awareness campaigns, education initiatives, and self-advocacy efforts have significantly improved global understanding, acceptance, and inclusion of individuals with autism. And whereas in 2020, the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, reported that approximately 1 in 54 children in the United States is diagnosed with ASD, with boys being 4 times more likely to receive a diagnosis than girls. And whereas during Autism Awareness Month, we celebrate the achievements and contributions of individuals with ASD, reaffirming our commitment to ensuring they have equal opportunities to reach their full potential. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the South San Francisco Unified School District Board of Trustees hereby recognizes the challenges faced by individuals with autism and remains dedicated to supporting and advocating for them during Autism Awareness Month and beyond. Regularly passed and adopted this 27th day of March, 2025.
Thank you so much, Trustee Murray. Can I get a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
First by Trustee Murray, second by Trustee Shay. Can I get a roll call, please?
Trustee Richardson,
Yes.
Trustee Shay,
Yes.
Trustee Lamb,
Yes.
Vice President Murray,
Yes.
President Anthony.
Yes, motion carries 5-0. 2A, Educational Services, Approval of Supplementary Instructional Materials. Staff recommends the approval of the supplementary instructional materials submitted for adoption for the 2025-2026 school year. Do we have any questions?
So moved.
Second?
All right, I got a motion to adopt by Murray, second by Shay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nay. Oops, not nay. None. All right, motion carries 5-0. Sorry. 2B, approval of local control funding formula LCFF supplemental funded positions. Staff recommends the approval of the LCFF supplemental funded positions for the 2025-2026 school year. Can I get do we have any questions about this?
I mean, I did have a few. I mean,
Great.
yeah, did you want to? Well, I'll just ask. Yeah, I'm still learning things. I just was trying to learn a little more about how the LCFF supplemental funding is determined. And so if you mind summarizing again.
Sure, I can speak on that. So the local control funding formula is a formula on how most of the school districts in California are funded by the state. And the amount is based on, or part of the formula, the amount is, or the supplemental portion of that is based on the unduplicated students, which are the English learners, low-income students, and also foster youth. So that determines a formula for the supplemental piece of the funding. And from there, the district has to set aside those funds to address the needs of those students. So that's why you see supplemental, they talk about supplemental positions. So these are where we're hiring additional positions to support these unduplicated students.
Yeah, and then I guess, yeah, and then the reason for understanding that piece was because then I had a thought like, oh, does it change a lot from year to year? And it seems like it does a little bit, but could you speak to that?
We use they call it the LCFF calculator, and we plug in our enrollment and stuff like that. It generates how much we should put aside. So the change between the last year and this year is about 100,000. So it's about approximately 100,000. Yeah.
Like it went up 100 or just.
But I do want to add that, because we're basic aid district, this actually formula doesn't really apply to us, but even though we don't get the supplemental funding based on the formula, we still need to set aside this amount to address these students because, because we get most of our bulk our revenue from property taxes, but we still need to set aside the amount based on the formula to support those students.
Okay, I agree. Yeah, for the specific needs, right?
Can you turn your camera,
Sorry. The unduplicated students are the English learners.
English learners, yeah, the
and,
free reduced price meal or low income students and the foster youth.
Yeah. So that category.
And then I guess my last question too is regarding the 2 grants that also feed into this pot of money, I guess. And so these are funds that we apply for every year, or reapply.
Yeah, for those 2 grants that we do apply every year. It's not part of the formula.
Oh, it's not part of the formula. Oh, okay. But we usually, they're pretty, like, we have good relationships, I presume, with the 2 grant partners that, like, we are able to renew it fairly easily every year, or is it kind of depend?
Yeah, you're talking about the Future Lab grant and the Strong Workforce grant, and those are typically something that we apply for and receive annually.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep.
So moved.
Second?
All right, I got a motion by trustee Murray to approve the supplemental fund positions and a second by Shay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion, any opposed? All right, motion carries 5-0. All right, 2C, approval of new course implementation at SSFHS. Staff recommends the approval of the dance performance company course for the implementation at South San Francisco High School for the 2025-2026 school year. Any questions on this?
I mean, I'll ask my 2
Please.
questions. Yeah, I had asked about just how long. From the packet, it said that this course will be submitted to for UC and CSU eligibility for, I presume, the fine arts requirement. So, and just a question about how long that approval process typically takes.
So I have invited Dr. Hugh to also participate in our meeting. So I'd like to welcome her in and she can answer your questions.
Good evening, everyone. So the question from Trustee Lamb around UC submissions. The UC system opens for course submissions in February and it closes in the summer. So we have about a 4-month window to submit our courses. The turnaround time depends on how many other courses UC is getting in that particular area. They typically have 1 to 2 people who are reviewing all of the courses in a particular content area. So if this year there happen to be a lot of courses submitted in fine arts, it might take a little longer. Other times it can be a pretty quick turnaround. But we expect that we will have our answers and an opportunity to revise if we need to over the summer in order to have that a clear answer ready for students when they return in August.
Okay, that's, yeah.
Thanks, Dr. Hugh. How's the
You're
weather?
welcome. Oh, I wish I was actually in Hawaii, just a background today.
I know. I got that background too. I just wanted to ask you, is this part of the folklorico program, or is this a big umbrella of all our dance offerings?
This is for our dance program, so not the folklorico program. So we have a couple of dance classes at South City that are taught by Ms. Ruzon. This would be an additional course, an advanced course, to allow students who are already coming in with some dance technique and years of dance experience to have an opportunity to grow their own ability to teach and choreograph and perform on a different level. So this is an area that they don't have a course for right now, and she feels that it would be a good fit. I would also want to mention that this course would be funded by the South City allocation, South San Francisco High School's allocation for Prop 28 funding.
Thank you.
Sure.
Super. Thank you. Trustee Lamb, any other questions?
I guess just, and I know in the background it asked if this was an offering that would be available to both high schools. And then I guess I didn't realize that El Camino has an advanced dance program. And I presume that is eligible right now for UC CSU credits. So, I mean, just do you anticipate any issues regarding the South San Francisco version of this course?
I do not. The 2 dance teachers have talked, and so I think that this course would be a nice opportunity for the South San Francisco High School students to also have an advanced dance class, similar to what our El Camino dance students have had.
Okay, great. Thank you. And thank you for calling in from, the islands.
Thank you, everyone.
Any other questions on this item? Okay, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All right, first by Trustee Murray, second by Trustee Shea. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries 5-0. Human Resources 3A, approval of the MOU with South San Francisco Classroom Teachers Association, SSFCTA, for the Ambassador Program. Staff recommends the approval of the MOU with SSFCTA for the Ambassador Program effective March 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2025. Any questions on this item? No?
So moved.
Second.
Motion to approve from Trustee Murray, a second by Trustee Shea. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries 5-0. 3B, approval of the MOU with South San Francisco Classroom Teachers Association, SSFCTA, for the referral bonus program. Staff recommends the approval of the MOU with SSFCTA for the referral bonus program effective March 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2025. Any questions on this item?
I'd like to make a motion.
All right, Trustee Lamb moving to approve. Can I get a second?
Second.
Trustee Shea with a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries 5-0. Business Services 4A, approval of change order number 7 on the HVAC Project B, number 1623 with EF Brett and Company. Staff recommends the approval of change order number 7, Project Package B, Project 1623 with EF Brett and Company in the amount of $46,000. Comments? I really thought this was done last week when we signed over the final papers, but apparently not.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I wasn't aware of, there were, some of these projects had delays, so yeah, and I was curious about how much that's the EF Brett had asked for initially.
Yeah, actually, I invited Bill Savage, who's more familiar with the details, to also answer the question. Bill, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good evening. Good evening, board members, Superintendent, Mr. O. This project had delays related to being able to access the individual buildings, and we did not have adequate transitional housing, so we converted adjacent open classrooms on some sites into spaces while we did work, but at other sites, we were not able to get buy-in from staff to move out in a timely fashion. The project involved installation of heating, ventilating, and air conditioning systems within individual buildings. And so we had to move our faculty or students out to be able to make it work, or we had to push the project all the way off to the summer of 2024. The contractor had already mobilized, and they had some clear entitlement to some additional costs relating to mobilization, remobilization, things like when they would move their units onto the site in a storage container and then have temporary fencing and temporary toilets, et cetera, on the site, and yet would have to go away and wait and come back. So those kinds of costs is what we negotiated with them. They started out verbally asking us for over $200,000. And I said, no way, and tried to focus them on the contract terms and also being understanding and being fair, since there was an impact to the company and to the mechanical contractor especially. So they finally made a written proposal for 88,214 for package B and 26,272 for package A. And we had to reject that also in terms of it was more than we thought was appropriate for the actual impacts. And they had not formatted it correctly to identify costs that were related directly to additional time, keeping their general conditions. The general conditions are what it takes for the contractor to be on site at a time. And so they eventually came back to us and offered to settle for $50,000 on package B and to drop any claim for money on package A. And we eventually settled on $46,000 for package B, which is equivalent of 1 month of general conditions under the contract. And so in my opinion, it's an appropriate amount and reflects, and the way the costs are proportioned reflects costs related to the delay on the project.
That's great. And I think, yeah, just hearing that this is equivalent to a month, I mean, that's also a nice clarification. Well, first of all, thank you for talking them down from 200,000 on behalf of, yeah, that's quite a lot. I will say that as someone who, on my other job has been on the other side of that coin of being delayed a lot on a project, and that the costs are real, but certainly we, being, we're in this context of, a school district, certainly delays are inevitable. And, but, we always have to try to find the middle ground. So thank you again for negotiating with them. And then I just, being that we are having, many bond projects, happening or will be happening, what steps are being taken to kind of mitigate project delays in the future and minimize them at least?
Well, I'm going to start and then turn it over to Director Shelton. But one of the major ways that the bond projects are going to be structured differently is that they will be focusing on full campus or full wing renovations with temporary housing provided, so that the buildings or the campuses can be completely turned over to the contractor without any need to move out of certain spaces, move back in, or create those kinds of delays. And I can let Director Shelton speak additionally at this point.
Good evening. So added to what screen. Good evening. So to add what Mr. Savage had added, so part of the bond program, we in the design phase, we develop phasing plans. We work with the schools to ensure that they understand the needs and agree to what we need to do. So it's not a surprise, as you mentioned, delays occur, but we try to minimize those as much as possible. There is a full set of plans that we try to develop in advance of going out to bid. And when we do have issues that arise, because sometimes we have material delays and other type of delays, we try to work as a team to come up with solutions so that we can continue to work perhaps in another area and then come back to the area that is affected by whatever the reasons. So,
Well, thank you. I'm glad all this is being thought through, so I appreciate it.
you're welcome.
So moved. Okay, got a motion to
Second.
approve by trustee Shay, second by trustee Murray. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
For B, thank you, Mr. Savage. Sorry. Just moving on. 4B, approval of the contract with Johnson Controls Fire Protection LP for fire alarm system repairs. Staff recommends the approval of the contract with Johnson Controls Fire Protection LP to repair the existing fire alarm system at the Fox Ridge site in the amount of $79,553.53. Any questions or comments? I think just one comment from me. This, just for awareness, we have, this school site is not being used for South San Francisco Unified School District students, but it is being used by Friends to Parents preschool. And so that is one of the reasons I think that we have to do this, right? Because it is occupied. Okay.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Motion by Murray to approve, second by Shay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries 5-0. 4C, approval of the contract with Zone 4 Construction for alteration services at Parkway Heights Middle School. Staff recommends the approval of the contract with Zone 4 Construction for PHMS Building D alterations in the amount of $426,315. Any questions on this? Mr. O, this is not a bond project, or is it? This is a facilities project. Okay. Any other questions? All right,
So
can I get a
moved.
motion to
So
approve?
moved.
All right, a motion by Murray, second by Shay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries 5-0. D, approval of the agreement with Sim Architects for the Monteverde Elementary School Modernization Project. Staff recommends the approval of the agreement with Sim Architects for project assessment services at Monteverde Elementary School as part of the modernization project under the Measure T bond in the amount of $294,672. Any questions on this? Trustee Lamb, did you have a question? Okay, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
A second.
All right. First by trustee Murray, second by trustee Lamb. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries 5-0. 4E, approval of the agreement with DSK Architects for the Spruce Elementary School Modernization Project. Staff recommends the approval of the agreement with DSK Architects for the project assessment services at Spruce Elementary School as part of the modernization project under the Measure T bond in the amount of $363,025. All right. Any questions on this one?
So moved.
All right. Got a motion by Murray to approve, second by trustee Shay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries 5-0. Okay, review of future and agenda items and meetings. We've got a special meeting right after this. Stick around. All right. Summary of board directives.
There are none.
Thank you. Good and welfare. Trustee Richardson, you want to kick us off?
Okay, just briefly, I did attend a couple of things this weekend, and I went to the legislative brunch briefly, and then I attended the 15th annual teen conference at Kenyatta College, and that was a fantastic presentation of Latinos up and down. Our school sent 40 students to that, and that's a great improvement from last year. And so that was a great time for our students, a lot of information about jobs for teens. It was a centered presentation by many groups that was there. The library was there and so forth, letting you know of all the opportunities available for the summer, which is almost here. And that was all I have to report. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Trustee Richardson. Trustee Shea, I see your thing on, so I'm going to go to you first.
We all attend Dr. Moore's award, and that was fantastic. Thank you. Congratulations.
Super. Dr. Moore won the NAACP Community Leader Award this weekend. Computing Impact.
Award.
All right, Trustee Lamb.
That was an amazing evening. It was, yeah, I won't get into the dancing that happened, but you know, you all can look on social media. I also attended the SMC CSBA legislative brunch with Trustee Richardson, Trustee Anthony, and yeah, the NAACP gala. That was like, I think that was really made. It made it. I'm still trying to process how that was, but just to see many different community leaders from all different aspects, it was very meaningful. And I guess I'll just mention, I believe Eid is coming up at the end of the month. So Eid Mubarak for those who celebrate, and happy spring break.
Thank you so much, Trustee Lamb. I'm glad you called that out. I was thinking about that as Mr. Chan was talking about halal food, that it's the end of Ramadan. So wonderful. Trustee Murray.
I also attended the award dinner for Dr. Moore. She won the Herbie Dawkins Award from the NAACP. It was an amazing night for an amazing person. I wanted to thank Linda Parenti of Kiwanis for allowing me to present our strategic plan to our organization. And I want to wish everybody a happy spring break.
Thank you, Trustee Murray. All right. And just a note about that legislative brunch. It was very interesting to hear from our local representatives, and also had an opportunity to advocate for TK funding for community-funded school districts. Okay, with that, we are going to adjourn this meeting and pull together my documents, call to order our special meeting of the South San Francisco Unified School District at 9:21 p.m. Can I get a roll call, Joanna?
Trustee Richardson. Trustee Shea. Here. Trustee Lamb.
Here.
Vice President Murray.
Here.
President Anthony.
Here. You have another opportunity to make public comment. Last call. All right. Public comments are limited to those on the agenda. We're going to move on to information discussion. Number 1, business services. A, Los Cerritos Elementary School Modernization Project. Staff will present to the board an update on the Los Cerritos Elementary School Modernization Project.
Thank you very much, President Anthony. Before I pass it over to Director Shelton, who will be standing and presenting, I just wanted to alert the board and the community that during the project assessment phase at Los Cerritos Elementary School, which has been completed, our staff did discover that part of this campus is located on the property owned by the City and County of San Francisco Public Utilities Commission. This includes both the staff parking lot as well as the blacktop. Staff also learned that the district's land use permit with San Francisco PUC for the use of their property is outdated. Our current staff was previously unaware of the requirements in the former land use permit restrictions and unknowingly has been in violation of this agreement. The land use permit with the San Francisco PUC did not allow the district to place any temporary or permanent structures on its property or use the property for staff parking. These limitations, unfortunately, have created obstacles for us for both construction as well as permanent operation of our school, necessitating further evaluation. Staff has been brainstorming and researching possible options for modernization of Los Cerritos Elementary School. And at this time, we'd like to provide an update to the board. So tonight is really about bringing awareness to the board about some of the challenges that we have experienced, and as well as our community. We are planning, like I said, on sharing some options with the board that staff have developed and discussed, but we didn't delve in too deeply because we wanted to bring it before the board to discuss what direction you think we should be moving in. So to get your feedback and possible direction on future steps and or what you prefer most for us to then go and explore, which will obviously then bring back any potential impacts to the budget once we do a budget, the staff, and so forth. So with that, I will turn it over to Director Shelton, who will share the agenda, and then we will jump right into the presentation this evening and discussion with the board. Welcome, Director Shelton.
Good evening and thank you. Before I start, I just want to bring to your attention that I placed a handout at your table, so you should have that with the options and pros and cons. So orientate myself to the clicker. Good evening. So we understand that there is a lot of anticipation on what is occurring for the Los Cerritos modernization. So tonight, as Dr. Moore has identified, we're going to talk through what we've done to date, and let's discuss some of the options that we're going through. So I do want to just kind of give you a brief background. So the bond team began data gathering in October of 2023. In December of 2023, we engaged a surveyor to determine the property boundaries of the Los Cerritos campus. We received board approval for the design team agreement in February of 2024, and the project assessment phase started late February 2024 and ended, excuse me, and ended in October of 2024. In August of 2024, we had a meeting with the PUC at the request of the facilities director, Chalhuri, and that meeting included myself, Dr. Moore, and Mr. O. And at that time, that is when we learned that the land use, which was dated in March 1986, was outdated, and where we also learned that we were in violation of some of the requirements. That land use specifically states that the PUC property is to be allowed, will allow the use as a playground only. So as Dr. Moore had indicated, parking is not allowed, the solar panels are not allowed, and it is unclear if the use of the property as a playground included the play structure. And then one of the other pieces of information that we learned from the PUC is that in a 5-year period of time, they will be creating a construction project themselves that is going to include an underground pipeline. We don't have the details. We don't know the extent of the property, but basically what they informed us was that the playground use for our school will be off limits during that period of time. But they did confirm that once their project is completed, we would then begin to be able to use it as a playground again. So we just don't have any details on the extent of their project. So tonight, I just want to briefly take you through the existing campus, the proposed construction impact, the interim housing options, as well as discuss what the next steps will be and take any questions that you may have. The existing campus, just a Google map of Los Cerritos. In this photo, I just highlighted for you the area in red is the property owned by the PUC. In this next image, I've highlighted the areas where the parking and solar panels are placed, as well as the play structure. And this is just an image to kind of orientate you to how the campus is utilized. At the top of the image, we have building A, which is our admin and support service space. Building B is the multi-use building. Building C is essentially classrooms that also contains a special ed classroom. D is additional classroom building that has special ed classrooms. E building is the kindergarten classrooms. To the far right, you have building J, which has classrooms and support spaces. And then at the bottom, you have building H, which is also classrooms with one special ed classroom contained within. So next we have the proposed new building location. So during the project assessment phase, one of the things that was requested, and I'm sure most people who are familiar with the Measure T bond, Los Cerritos lacked an exploratorium as compared to any other school. So during the project assessment phase, we determined that the two portables that are highlighted in the middle is where we would construct a new building, a one-story new building that would contain a new library, exploratorium, and some support spaces, which were desperately needed by the school. So as you can see, we would have to demo the two portable buildings that are way past their lifespan. In this image, what I wanted to highlight for you is in order for the construction project to construct the new building, the area that is outlined shows you where the construction impact would be to the site. The classrooms in red would be the classrooms that are affected by that construction. There's no way we would be able to create that new building without relocating the students in this space at the minimum. So I want to move into the interim housing options. And one thing that I didn't mention at the beginning, which I really need you to know, is that in December, I met with the PUC Commission, basically to inform them that the district had planned to upgrade our facilities at the Los Cerritos site and request that we will be allowed to use their property for interim housing as well as to allow construction vehicle access from the West Orange Street entrance. Essentially, they informed us that they would not allow interim housing on their property, and vehicle access was also not allowed. So part of what our team has been tasked to do is try to think of ways and how we would be able to do construction on this site. So essentially, we have the options where we would relocate either part or all of the Los Cerritos student population. The first example is at Baden. Two examples are, are at Baden. One is at Sunshine Gardens, and then we wanted to discuss Ponderosa. So I'll just move into those options. So this is an image of Baden campus, which you all are very familiar with. The building with the blue roof line is where we are right now. So in the upper part of the image, in the back of the campus is a field, a softball field, where we could actually locate interim housing. And please note, these are not to scale. I'm not an architect. This is me using the limited software that I have to just give you an example that we could fit interim housing there partly, and we can also add additional units here, but it is a viable option in that it would fit. The next option, we looked at Sunshine Gardens. And again, the red boxes are really to show you and illustrate that we could put some units on this campus. There is a concern, and we would have to do some analysis on whether we would be blocking the fire truck access, but that is something that we'll have to investigate in the future. But from a physical space, it could work. Some additional classrooms could also fit in the kindergarten yard space that's at the top of the screen. In this next image, which is Ponderosa, we did not think that interim housing classrooms could fit on this campus. At the bottom of the image, we believe is the fire truck access. To the right, you might be able to get a couple of classrooms there, but I just don't see that as viable. So we're really not going to move Ponderosa forward. And lastly, if the intent were to relocate the entire Los Cerritos campus, this illustration just shows that there is space available at Sunshine Gardens. However, we feel that potentially in order to relocate the entire campus here, the cost to do grading and excavation will be very excessive, in the millions of dollars, and that's just for excavation and grading alone. That isn't including anything else. So, however, if that is the option to move forward, we would evaluate the viability of this. So next steps. So what we are interested in understanding from the board is the potential options that you would have us further define. And in order to do so, we would engage the architect specifically for this scope of work to determine the viability of one or two options to further investigate. Some of the things we have to consider is our utilities. Would our existing utilities at any of the campuses be able to support interim housing. We need to investigate whether the fire department would be able to provide emergency access, truck access to the campus. The cost obviously is a significant impact. Power is another issue. So there are a lot of components, so we can't evaluate each and every one of them. However, your direction will help us move forward. And then one of the additional things that we'll need to do is determine what additional budget opportunities that we will have, because the interim housing at this scope level is beyond what we budgeted for or allocated within the bond program.
Yeah, Trustee Shea's got a question. I will have some questions too. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm very interested in on the page 12. Can you elaborate more about option C and D?
Just slide 12.
Yeah,
Slide 12?
12, yes.
Okay.
So you mentioned about option A and B.
So option C is C and D basically are the 4 special ed classrooms that are currently housed at Los Cerritos. The idea with these options are that if we permanently relocate them elsewhere, that would be 2 to 4 classrooms now freed up, which also includes the support services that are utilized for them. So that would reduce the impact to the site, which could equate to the number of limiting the number of interim housing units that we would have to relocate offsite, because we could reallocate some of the classrooms that are affected into the spaces that are now free. And that would also impact what we would build permanently, because we won't have the need for as many support spaces as we're trying to accommodate with the new construction.
How about just brainstorming? How about reverse? Those 4 special ed classrooms stay there, and how many of the general ed classroom can go to other elementary schools?
On a permanent basis?
Yeah.
I looked at Dr. Moore. I don't
have the number of the classes that they currently have there, so I wouldn't be able to answer that without being able to check in advance.
No problem. Thank you.
Trustee Murray?
One of the things that I would want to see would be a survey of the community to see what the community is, not maybe that they wouldn't choose what they wanted, but we have a lot of walking families to that area, and I mean to that school. And I'd want to know how many of the families walk and how many would be willing to go to another school, and how far would they be willing to go? Would they be willing to go to Sunshine Gardens? It seems like Baden isn't too far, but that's not a permanent relocation. Plus there's a field there, right? That people use, the community uses. So.
At Sunshine. Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes. In the back?
Yeah.
I'm not certain that field is being used, but I am certain
Okay,
that
I
this
was
front
thinking
field
that
is
you
being
meant
used.
there.
It's
Okay.
all the way in the back. That is being used.
It's not that field. It's not this.
Not
field.
It's the field in the,
There's a field in the back
it's
of
a
our
softball
campus.
field in the back.
The other field no.
This is not the
That's
field
not
that
our
was being
field.
proposed.
The other field is in the back of the campus.
Behind.
If you drive through the parking lot and make a left, the field is right there on your right.
But you're gonna give the whole town community heart attack.
Yeah, not that.
Yeah, we're not talking about that.
No,
field.
no, yeah, that's what I, Yeah, so that, we have 5 years, right?
We have 5 years to remove parking and the solar structure and potentially the play structure. But that doesn't involve.
Yeah, we'd
the
have to know that
construction.
too, because that wouldn't work. Well, they need a play structure. So, and if we could keep the special ed classes there. I do like the idea of building a new school, maybe a parcel tax. Okay. I think I would need more information, like the cost of, like, even just like a ballpark of what each of these items would cost us. And
So I think because you heard Director Shelton mention all of the steps involved for just one item. And so if we can at least get us to a place if there are at least maybe two, because as she mentioned, it would be
So, yeah. I mean, yeah, are you looking for like one or two options to investigate further?
Yes.
I agree that Ponderosa doesn't seem like a viable option, so
Correct.
take that one off the list. I guess my question about Sunshine, I've got two questions about Sunshine. Number one, staff parking is already crammed there, so I think you made a note of that as being a con. I'm also wondering, you noted in both the temporary location for partial campus and the full relocation that there's issues with excessive costs for grading and utilities. If the costs are going to be expensive for both locations on the blacktop and in the field, then I guess my question is, there's two questions. Thinking out loud here. Number one, is the intention of the excavation and the grading of the field that's at the top of Sunshine Gardens to bring it down to grade so that everything's on the same, or would it still be able to be up?
Again, I'm not an architect, but I believe it would need to remain at an elevated slope. However, even in that case, there is still an excessive amount of grading and excavation just to be able to put asphalt down for us to be able to put classrooms in that space. If we were to put the interim housing on the grades 1 to 5 play yard, which is where the boxes are, you don't have the same amount of grading involved, but there'd likely be some work, but not to the extent of if we were to move at the top of that campus.
And in the current boxes that would be moved if we were able to do construction is included the TK and the K classrooms, but it sounds like we wouldn't necessarily want to move the TK and K classrooms if we were moving Los Cerritos, right? Like putting 8 portables at Baden with a temporary bathroom structure is probably still not going to work for our TK and K classrooms.
And we don't have to necessarily move TK and K. I was outlining where the classrooms were, but we could reshuffle what grades remain at the site and then transition the remaining to the Baden. So it's just, my image is really just to kind of identify that these are the impacted classrooms for the new building construction.
And what theoretically we could reconceive what we were planning on doing with the Los Cerritos campus if we did take one of these other actions that was, let's say, more permanent.
I think because of the limitations with what PUC has given us, I think we need to reimagine what we were planning to do. We could very well build a 2-story building so that we could put some upper grades on the second level, and then possibly add staff parking to the area that's kind of where the TKK classroom is, remove those classrooms, reshuffle where students are, and again, add a play structure on district property. So I think there's an opportunity. That wasn't what we focused on in the project assessment, because new news, but I think we have a lot of opportunity to just move in a different direction. We will have to consider that at some point that play yard is off limits.
Right, right. Trustee Richardson.
When we talk interim housing, when you're talking interim housing options, are you referring to the portable structures themselves?
I am. They're
So-
temporary classrooms.
Okay, because I was housing, I don't know. So do you intend to bring staff for the Baden option? Does that mean staff will be from Los Cerritos transferred over? So in other words, what I'm asking is, do we need to provide housing for those people?
You will need office space and you will need restroom portables as well. So
Now,
the exact numbers are unknown at this point.
Okay, the portables, will they be something we have? Do we have it in a sort of way somewhere, or will we have to buy these structures?
Rent. We would have to rent them.
Rent them. Okay. I just want to say, now that you clarified which field, I think for me, I believe Baden is the more accessible because those parents would be closer than any other campus. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it possible to have a community meeting? Talk to the community?
I think we're open to that, but I think we'd like to go in with an idea of the options. So we don't give 8 or 9 options because we know that it's not feasible. But we as the board would be able to narrow that down so we can go in and explain, here's the situation, here's where we are, here's what we've explored, here are the options, and then elicit insight and feedback from staff. Just remember that much of this, we have to be mindful that they may say, well, that's great, we want to go here, but going here may be that it costs 2 or 3 times what it would cost if we chose another location. So I think we just have to, we're happy to go in and have a conversation with the community. But I think first we're looking to the board for some direction on what 1 or 2 options do you think might be best. Then we can assess costs, then we can get an architect, then we can look at how much portable housing, then we can look at numbers. Absent of that, it is really hard for us to identify which specific option and direction the board would like us to go in before we go to the community.
So for me, it feels like if we build Los Cerritos up, we still have the issue that we may not have a play structure for the kids. So that doesn't make sense to me.
I think if we build Los Cerritos up and we reimagine how we are planning to build it, disregard the image that I presented, which was the 1 story, I think that gives us some creative ability to reimagine where we can put the upper grade play structure on the campus, as well as revamp the TKK yard with their own play structure. So I think we have opportunities. We just have to reimagine what we do.
But then there would be no parking either, right?
The idea is to provide some staff parking. I don't know how much would fit, but that is all what we would have to investigate. And we can work with an architect to develop concept plans to kind of help us help show us what's possible.
How long does it take to just generally like place, like doing if we relocated half and half, Baden and Los Cerritos, we kept those two. Is the time to completion for the portables and the grading and all that, is that like a year? Or is that, I mean, is it months? Is it a year?
Depending on which site we select, it's not a year.
Okay.
However, depending on the utilities, there's additional work. It could be 6 to 9 months. You know, part of it is just getting contracts in place. And if, depending on the timing of the year, there might be, excuse me, and the availability of the interim housing, those are all the things that would impact it, but I don't believe it to be a year.
Okay. And if we took an option like B1 where we coexist at Sunshine Gardens, I mean, that's essentially building kind of a new building, right?
Exactly.
And so that's
a
more than a
longer
year.
term.
Okay.
Not only that, but we impact the modernization project at Sunshine Gardens.
I mean, why wouldn't that be just considered a merger and it's essentially? I mean, that's like, I have many, actually, I want to back up a bit.
Yeah.
You know, I've been really struggling about how to approach this meeting. I know this is, you know, all new information and you know, and I understand that, you know, at this point in the process, you know, we don't know cost, time, you know, all these factors that we would typically need to make a decision, but it is a little bit, it's hard to make a
I do
informed
agree.
decision, you know, it's a little bit of a struggle. So, I mean, that said, if we don't have all that information, then I'm trying to figure out, well, what criteria do we use then to work through the options that you've presented. So to me, you know, we're sort of left with, well, okay, what's the impact on the Los Cerritos kids? What can we do to minimize the impact on them? And of course, the parents. And then what's the impact on like the host site? I've written a bunch down. I mean, what's, you know, I mean, I put down equity concerns, like, is it fair to be moving all the, you know, special ed away, you know, as one of the options? I just want to throw that out there, like, you know, just to kind of, if we even need to go point by point through every option to kind of chat, discuss, debate about the impact. And I'll just give as an example, like maybe, you know, I was thinking, well, maybe if you like numbers wise, the minimal impact could be moving only half Los Cerritos kids to another site, perhaps the Baden, because there's fewer other, you know, students, you know, at Baden. But then I thought, well, if there's all this construction going on, it may also not be a good environment for the kids that remain at Los Cerritos. So maybe it's
Plus-
better to move all, you know, all the
Friends and-
kids, you know.
Plus, I mean, if you split the campus, friends.
Yeah,
and
splitting, yeah,
families and
splitting is a,
whatever,
you know, it's affecting the community.
It's still
It's
going to affect the
splitting.
kids, all of the kids.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So I do have a question about, do we have to make a decision today? Or is there a room that we can?
I think we're giving direction to choose 2 options to explore more out of the 6 or 7 that we've got.
Does that has to be today? Because I do feel like not enough information and it's lots of that is guessing. Like we don't have enough close information. Like you mentioned about 1B, the coexisting. Like if we do that, then we are impacting Ponderosa's, their modernization. So all those information, it doesn't feel jailed. Like I really don't know.
No, I think we're in a really lousy situation. I don't think there's
I have
going
a
to be a
question.
solution
I wanna
that's going
say a
to
question.
feel good.
Just
What is
with-
the
briefly
enrollment?
with
Hold on a
Director
second. Let trustee
Shelton?
go,
Thank you
Susan.
for this pro and con. I was reading it. How did I miss that? But you just put it on. It's a gift. Thank you. I wanted to know, in your opinion, given all these sites that you gave us, which one you would choose to be the fastest without the least interruption with the surrounding schools that, or the students, would you recommend, or can you tell us at this point which option you think might work best?
So I would say, first off, I don't believe that we can do construction at Los Cerritos without relocating students. There's no other way to proceed. If I were to make a choice, and I would pick two options to at least further study. The first would be Baden. And then the second would be to investigate what the impact would be at Sunshine Gardens, partial relocation, not a full relocation, but a partial.
So that's A1 and A3. Yeah, I mean, I really hate the idea of splitting and having one principal have to manage two sites. I agree with Trustee Lamb that I don't like the idea of special ed classrooms being isolated. That's not least restrictive environment. That's not inclusive, and I don't like that. I understand that we're looking at a rock and a hard place, and it's not a great decision either way. I am fine with exploring further with A1, A3, but I'm also concerned about what the future looks like here, right? I mean, let's say we relocate half the campus for several years while we do the modernization, and we build some new buildings, and we have a two-story building. And then the question is, I will say Los Cerritos is the only school that has been growing, but I also feel like part of the reason it's been growing is because we have relocated classrooms there in order to sustain it. And I feel sick saying this because I did school closings in Chicago Public Schools, and it was the worst thing I've ever done. But long-term, if we are looking at decreasing campus size, do we look for a permanent relocation for these and then make this a campus like we use for Fox Ridge, or we use for our TK programs that we have woefully inadequate space for?
I would say that I'm not advocating one way or the other, but I say that is a viable option that we need to consider as a district.
What is the enrollment at Sunshine Gardens and what is the enrollment at Los Cerritos?
I can tell you Los Cerritos, it's 304. I think Sunshine is 329. Thank you, Mr. Hannah.
I'm curious about Dr. Moore, what is your thinking on those options?
I actually had written mine down and they were identical to what Director Shelton said.
The same as what she
Mhm,
mentioned?
we did not discuss
Okay.
our options because we really want the board to make the decision. But it was exactly what Director Shelton said.
I mean, if we're looking at options A1 through A4, and then B, and then C and D, I think we can already take off A4 and C and D. Those are not equitable and it's not possible. So we're down to four options, A1, A2, A3, and B1.
Can I,
Please.
sorry,
No, please.
backtracking further.
Yes.
I mean, the PUC thing also pisses me off. Okay, so I can't believe that this is happening, and that me ranting about it is not going to change the situation. We're here to kind of deal with it and move forward, but I think to take a minute to rant about it is also very
Fair.
appropriate. I had asked, I'd sent you a lot of questions ahead, and I know some are maybe unanswerable at this meeting. I mean, have we exhausted all options with the PUC at this point? Like, there's no negotiating, there's no legal options, appeals, or, I threw in buying the land from the PUC. I mean, I'm really just want to put that, if not put that to bed, or at least have that question, because then, then we know, okay, well, then we have to do these other options.
So what I will say is we know that they have a future project, or at least that's what they've indicated to us. And I believe it's going to be a water pipeline. I highly doubt that they would sell that property to us. We have not explored that. Before I can go back to have any discussion with the PUC, they want to see projects. I can't move forward with a project until I know what I'm doing. So at this point, I'm at a stalemate. But if we want to pursue other avenues, I would have to engage our cabinet to see how we proceed with that. I don't have any influence on PUC to be able to state what, they would consider. I just highly doubt that they would allow us to purchase their property. And I don't know where we would go from there without legal representation.
Given that maybe maybe I wasn't paying attention or heard, but I didn't hear about the pipeline or was aware of it, that they were intending to do that. Oh, maybe you did mention.
Well, they're doing construction in that area. and
In
they're gonna
5
be
years,
tearing it up,
yeah. But
That's just right under the BART tunnel.
yeah,
It is.
I guess then it makes
By the
me.
BART.
Oh, it's the PUC land by the BART tunnel.
I
mean,
believe
this-
it is. It's very close, if not. Yeah.
They allowed a skateboard park further down the Centennial Trail.
Mhm.
And
permanent,
BART let the city of South San Francisco use it for that. We developed it, the community paid to build that just recently, within the last
Yeah, yeah.
couple of years.
No, like
So I
this summer.
know they're not gonna they don't give you anything.
That's an easement, yeah.
So may I suggest that we move, like each one of us say our top two, and then we can have a conclusion
Yeah.
direction.
And yeah,
Can I take a
yeah.
minute
Yeah.
before you jump? Okay, no, I'm
That's good.
nothing
Do you
to say. I
have
just
something
need a
else?
minute to think. So maybe someone
Sure.
else talk or ask
Um,
questions. I think about it.
All right. I have a hard time narrowing it down to two. I know it's expensive. I would still like to see what it looks like to coexist at Sunshine, so that it wouldn't be just a temporary disruption, but it would become a coexistence. I will say my preferred options are A1 and B1, but the more realistic options for me are A1 and A3. So that's my vote. Trustee
A1.
Murray,
Oh, go ahead.
can I say that? I mean, that's,
You can say whatever you like. I'm taking notes. So
Okay.
I just want to make sure I understand.
So you are A1 and A3.
So when a school, when a district decides to close a school permanently, at what point in the enrollment do we start considering that?
So it really depends. Typically, it is under 300.
So we have two schools, one 304, one 329. Enrollment over the past 20 years have been going down. So I would rather see B1 would be my first choice. And if I would also want to work with the community and find out, I mean, I understand we would have to provide transportation maybe from the Los Cerritos area over to Sunshine Gardens. That would be mine.
So B1 is
I
your
would-
first
Yeah,
choice.
that would be my favorite.
What's your
Oh,
second choice?
What's
sorry.
your second?
My second would be A3, so they can get used to.
Well,
Sunshine Gardens.
I mean, yeah, I would say that the advantage, I guess, if I had, maybe I wouldn't say Baden. Baden seems easier, but I like the idea of having elementary school kids named near elementary school kids. So A3 for me feels a little bit better than Baden.
So B1 and A3?
Those are my preferred options.
B1 and
Before we
A.
move on, let me just
Sure.
ask a question, clarifying question. So for option B1, the coexisting of the campuses still maintain two separate schools on one campus. So you still have two administrative, support staff, et cetera. So that's not merging of the two schools. It's two separate schools on one campus. I just want to make sure that's the intent of that option.
My thought was that we relocate the students to become a part of the Sunshine Gardens community.
Permanently?
So you're merging it?
So you're talking about a school merger.
Yeah. I mean, declining enrollment, we have 304 and 329. This makes one great big school that won't be in danger of closing at any point in time.
That's a good point.
Isn't the capacity at some of these schools like 500? So that would be 100 over capacity.
We would have to explore that as part of,
Can
if that's part of the
explore that.
direction, we would have to explore that.
My understanding of the average of all our schools.
And for any of these options, just so the board knows, what we have talked about is absolutely engaging the community. We are not interested in doing any of this work outside of the community, but nobody knew about it except for us, and we wanted to make sure our school board knew about it before we started engaging the community. That's why we scheduled the meeting, to make sure you guys were aware. Sorry, I don't know the next trustee, but
Yeah, my vote, mine is A3 and then B1. I really like what Pat, that direction she's moving to. So A3 and B1.
But with B1 possibly phasing into a merger.
Yeah. To explore that.
I just have to, okay, so to back up on the PUC rant again, I mean, I think the thing that scares me about that PUC, that future PUC project is that it does, well, besides probably destroying the playground and, the parking lot and all these things, it's like, is it even, has it been viable for us to have the school at the site? The school has been there for years. Decades, and that's such a history. My husband went there. The community has been there, so I do feel for the community. And I will say I'm very hesitant to consider relocating. The only, maybe the most compelling argument for permanent relocation for me is because now the PUC is putting all these restrictions on the site that I don't think exists at other sites. It's kind of ridiculous. So I would only reluctantly consider the permanent relocation, potential merger or coexistence, whatever, because of this PUC situation. So I don't really want to circle that right now. I think that maybe I'm having a hard time narrowing down still. I think either I guess it would be a partial relocation at a site. I'll just say A1, just because of not wanting to impact another school, but I would maybe very reluctantly consider this coexistence option, just so we have a range of, like we see sort of the extremes.
You're kind of voting A1, A3. Is that right? Partial relocation. Reluctantly. None of them are going to be like,
well, no,
let's do
I
this.
was saying that as first option would be like an A1,
Okay.
let's say. And then I know I've heard two or three kind of talking about the B1 option or. So I would very reluctantly explore that only because of, just so we see a range of, okay, well, here's one, maybe not extreme, it's not the right word, but just here's one end of the spectrum is a partial, did I say partial relocation? I don't remember. Anyway, temporary relocation elsewhere. And then the other end of the extreme is that we build a new school.
So you want.
So you want the
I think
two
I
extremes.
will
Explore
reluctantly
B1.
explore B1, but not.
A1 and B1.
You don't have to.
Not with any joy.
Okay, I mean, you can vote A1, A3. You don't have to go for B1 just because other people want it.
I have to think.
You want to
I will think,
circle back
let
to
me
you?
think about it.
Okay.
Maybe
Trustee
circle back to
Richardson?
me.
Where are you
Yeah.
thinking? A1 and A2, either a partial or full relocation to Baden. So at the very least, we have a quorum on A3
A1
to
and
investigate
A3.
A3. And
A1
I think
and
we have
A3.
3 people who have B1.
Yeah.
Can we investigate 3 options, Lori?
That's what I'm thinking too.
can.
A1, A3, and B.
I would feel a lot better if we did 3. Can we
Mhm.
just do A1, A3, and B1?
Yeah.
A1, A3, and B1.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
But before we move off of this topic,
Yes.
are there any other suggestions that anyone has?
I do. Not suggestions, but more questions. You said something about funding. We have about 300 million bonds left. Now, why are we discussing funding? This is not going to break the bank.
Well, this degree of interim housing wasn't really considered for the Los Cerritos allocation. So if you recall, the remaining funds, which bonds are not sold yet, but the remaining funds have been allocated to other schools. We can have that discussion on reallocating the existing Measure T bonds. We just haven't had that. If we want to maintain the allocations, then we would have to consider funds from another pot of money.
I'd have to see the money.
This is just direction. We still have community meetings.
Yeah,
I'm
there was a
sorry.
clarification if this is just direct, it is just direction. So now we have direction on which ones you want us to go further explore. Everything will come back to the board and then we can make a decision about where we move. So this is just giving us a sense of where you would like us to spend our time and energy gathering information, assessing costs.
I also just want to say, as we investigate A3, I really don't like the idea of utilizing the classroom spaces occupied by Leo J. Ryan. That's a subsidized preschool program and it's available and it's free or very, very low cost for our community. And I think it's a really important program. So if we move them, then just as you're looking at it, I know it's saying as an additional information, additional option, but we were supposed to take a break. I'm so sorry, captioner. Yeah. Do we have any other questions or thoughts?
The meeting?
If not, I will adjourn. Final thoughts? Okay, I'm so sorry, captioner. I hope that the extra 8 minutes weren't so bad. I'll adjourn this meeting. I think you have direction.